all the families minimal, meeting at an intersection there, so talking to Kelly Brown, he said he takes up to the county, and he's got some friends in the county, so but our concern is that all these subdivisions, they have no ask. So two residents, so we have one emergency and then one residence. So they're going to take it from the demo. Right. And they're making that the main. There. That actually is back here. Over there. So that's emergency. Make this your main entrance. Away from us. Yeah. Make it. The reason they want to is for emergency purposes. If this road's blocked, so is this road.
Don't go, bud.
So it shouldn't be that they come here. They're going in and going out. Where they
Next thing, fire, stand back, back.
No, we ain't doing it.
It's now time to call the meeting to order, and we trust all of y'all have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And we would like to ask you, if you have your cell phone, would you check them please to see if they're on? And if they are, just silence them. And if it still rings, if you go out to the corridor and answer it, then you come back to your seat. So we'll now call this meeting to order. As stated, we're going to call on Commissioner Rushing to give the invocation and lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
Bow with me, please. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord God, thank you for this day. Thank you for all the many blessings you give us, Lord. Lord, thank you for each and every one here and for the families that they represent. Please continue to be with the ones traveling, trying to get back home over the holidays, Lord. And just thank you for this new year, and lead, guide, and direct each and every one of us, and keep us safe and healthy, and just watch over us through this new year, Lord. Lord, I'd like to ask you to continue to be with this country, this state, and this county, be with our military and public safety, with the law, just everyone that works and fights to keep us free and safe, Lord. Just lead, guide, and direct us in all the decisions we have to make, each and every one of us, and especially this commission, Lord. Let us make the decisions that'll be beneficial to Bulloch County as a whole, Lord, and just lead, guide, and direct us, and help us through the decisions we got to make. These things I ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now we'll ask Ms. Mitzi White to call the roll of the commissioners, please.
I, Venus Mitzi White, present as Clerk of the Board of Commissioners of Bulloch County, hereby call the roll for those on the governing body. All those present shall answer by saying aye. Chairman Roy Thompson.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Kurt Deal.
Aye.
Commissioner Ray Mosley.
Aye.
Commissioner Anthony Simmons.
Aye.
Commissioner Jappy Stringer.
Aye.
Commissioner Timmy Rushing.
Aye.
Commissioner Toby Connor.
Aye.
I've determined that we have all members of the Board of Commissioners present. Therefore, we have a quorum to conduct business for the good of the citizens of Bulloch County. I now yield the floor back to the chairman.
Thank you very much. And now it's time for the approval of the zoning agenda. We have 11 items on there tonight. Okay. All right, we're going to,
Mr. Chairman, we recommend this agenda as stated on the agenda order.
okay.
So.
All right. Then we need the approval of the zoning agenda.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Have a motion, second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, show of hands. Unanimous approval. All right.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Agenda item 1 tonight is a rezone request by Warren Brothers Investments to rezone from an R25 zone to an R3 for a multifamily residential subdivision. The property is located on Pat's Lane, and Mr. Lindsey Martin will be acting as agent. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended a denial by 4-0 vote, and the staff recommends approval of the rezone request. Now, this case was heard by this board, I believe it was in November, and it was essentially tabled to work through some questions with staff that were brought up during the meeting, and the applicant, I guess, alleviated the concern staff had with just in the question. So we recommend approval without any of the conditions that were included in your November board packet. And I'll go through briefly showing this is a zoning map. Again, Pat's Lane is a paved road. There's nearby two-family zoning, R2, and then R25 is what this parcel is currently zoned. And prior to zoning, there were 3 structures placed on this parcel that are two-family homes, which is what the applicant is proposing to build on the property. The R3 would allow that the applicant hold the properties within one entity or sell individually. It's an aerial of the parcel. Again, current use is just a wooded lot. And this is the site plan that was proposed, or that is being proposed by the applicant, which would show additional 7 duplex structures on Pat's Lane. This is Pat's Lane as it currently is. All right. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Lindsey Martin.
Thank you for hearing me
Martin,
again.
Before
on
you
this.
start, I need to make an announcement. And this is for everyone that's going to speak tonight, or particularly on these zoning matters. Each side will have 10 minutes to present. And you can use all 10 minutes to begin with, or you can save minutes to rebut with. So just remember, 10 minutes per side, and we will keep the clock on. Now you can start.
Well, thank you for hearing this again. My name's Lindsey Martin. We have duplexes on this piece of property already that is currently called Pat's Lane. And I'm asking that the county commissioners will go along with rezoning the property to duplexes like the property that's on there now. And I'll defer any questions, my time for any questions or anything else.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Dennis Wilson, or Nelson, Dennis Nelson.
It appears as you've already made a decision, sir. Would you come to the mic, please, Mr. Dennis?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate the opportunity to address you. It appears you've already decided on this issue. We were just going to reiterate it on the things that the community were concerned about in the infrastructure to get these things straightened out so that would make it a better place for these new units to go and a better place for the people who live there. But evidently, y'all have already reviewed them and you've already decided on them. So
We have not decided. We only decide if we vote, and we're going to vote in a little while on this one.
well, if you don't mind, I'll go over them again.
Sir?
All right, you posted a sign inviting the community to voice their opinion on a zoning change, and this is what the community did. My name is Dennis Nelson. I live at 613 Sweetheart Lane. I lived there for 30 years. When I moved there 30 years ago, Sweetheart Lane was a dirt road. We asked the commissioners to improve it, and they did. They made a tar and gravel road out of it, and it served the community well for 20 years. But now the road's beginning to wear out. So we're concerned about that. So first, we ask that Sweetheart Lane be paved with a suitable material that will support the wheel loads of large delivery trucks and cars and additional future traffic. Second, we want to see the drainage system repaired and upgraded, especially around Pat's Lane. The runoff water now travels down Pat's Lane, across Sweetheart Lane, and down Trevor Lane until it reaches a low place in the yards of the people who live on Trevor Lane. Sometimes that water reaches 16 to 24 inches deep and creates a holding pond with no place to go. This, of course, is dangerous and unhealthy. The only way to get rid of the water is by evaporation or percolation. We believe drainage should be installed in that area, as well as to take care of the runoff water from Pat's Lane and other places. The drainage conditions also creates a danger to the school bus, because at the end of Sweetheart Lane, which is paved, and Billy Michael Road, which is dirt, there's normally a large gully across there, and the school bus has to make a sharp turn there, and it makes it difficult. We also ask that some improvements be made to Billy Michael Road. Billy Michael Road is just a dirt road. It has no constructed drainage. The water just runs down a steep grade on Billy Michael Road, washes out, and goes wherever it wants to drain. On rainy days, the residents have to drive through people's yard that live on Sweetheart Lane to get out of their residence. I noticed today when I was down that way, several residents have put up steel posts in their yard to keep people from driving through the yard to get to Sweetheart Lane. Fourth, we ask you to consider installing sidewalks along Sweetheart Lane so the children do not have to stand in the dark to catch the school bus, and the residents have a safe place for the children to walk and play. Fifth, we also ask that you consider installing streetlights to make it easier for seniors, traffic in a safer community. Seventh, we ask you to consider fire protection, which makes our community safer and help our citizens lower their homeowner insurance. The nearest fire protection is a mile away. As a community, we think some consideration be given to us. We have lived there for many years, kept our houses in good repair, kept our yards up and beautiful, paid our taxes, voted, caused no trouble, got along good with our neighbors, and support each other. When I purchased my house years ago, I never imagined I would live in a community with so many duplexes. There are 15 single units dwellings in that property and 31 duplexes, which makes it seem like you're living in a housing project. We would like for you to consider, if you're going to consider it, to allow single dwelling units instead of duplexes. At our last meeting, we were pleased to see some improvements. At our last meeting, we named some things, and we were pleased to see some improvements from the county. They installed some speed limit signs, a curve sign, a stop sign, and made some repairs at Sweetheart Lane. Unfortunately, those repairs are now beginning to come up in Sweetheart Lane, and especially the curve is full of potholes again. We are grateful for what has been done, but we ask that you consider our above request to make our community a nicer, safer, and more beautiful place to live. And I make mention that if this subdivision was submitted to you now, today, after it's 30 years old, of course, y'all would not permit it like it is. It would have, all these improvements would have to be made. So we simply asking you to let us catch up to where we should be in this community, to make it a better place for the people to live, a safer place to live, and for our property values to go up instead of down. We don't object to the construction. We just need to be able to facilitate the new people that move in there, or the new traffic. We estimate there'll be 30 to 50 additional cars on that road every day. Thank you so much for allowing me to address you, and I appreciate it, and you have a great afternoon. Thank you.
We have Wayne Murad.
Hello, my name is Wayne Miracle, and I'm very glad to be here today and speak on behalf of our neighborhood. I asked myself the question, what is the bottom line of why we are here today? And I think the answer to that is to capitalize on investment. We have an investor who wants to invest in his property, and he wants to capitalize on that investment. So therefore, he's asking for a zoning change so that he can put more people per unit. However, we as homeowners, we want to capitalize on our investment as well. I think that it's fair to say that the more rental properties that are around, in one particular area, the more that the property goes down in value. And the thing that we want as, homeowners is that we want our property values to stay strong. And so more than investing our money, we have invested our lives. Mr. Nelson just spoke about how that he has lived there for over 30 years. My wife and I have lived where we live for over 25 years, and most of all the other neighbors have lived there that long. And we have invested our lives, and I think that we as homeowners, people need to listen to our voice, not just to someone who's going to come in and make a monetary investment, and then he will not live there. He doesn't really have anything invested in that property other than money. We have invested our lives. So we ask that you reject this proposal of rezoning and keep it the way it is. Thank you very much.
How much time did Mr. Morton have? All right, there's time for both sides for any other comments that you would like to make. We'll call that the rebuttal time. So, Mr. Martin, would you like to say anything? And did y'all have the time that he?
He had 9:35 left.
Okay.
The only thing I would like to say is that was just a little bit incorrect on the numbers, because the single-family each lot is okayed through the health department for 4 bedrooms on each house that's over there. So it's the same thing as a duplex, be 2 bedrooms on one side and 2 bedrooms on the other side. So the numbers don't change one way or the other. It's the same. I just want to rebuttal that. Thank you.
Okay. All right, then, the other side, Mr. Miracle.
Yes.
All right. Did you sign up?
Last time I signed up, they just told me, they said, hey, I'll be able to come back. I was here in November. And they told me I'll be able to speak again. So.
They have 3 minutes. They have 3 minutes.
All right, we'll make an exception. Normally, you would have to sign up again, but we'll give you got 3 minutes and 3 seconds. We'll let you speak.
How you doing? My name is Dion Hendricks. I live at 611 Sweetheart Lane, and I was just reading over the plan development, and it just said, pretty much the county manager, the county will make every effort will be made to protect adjacent residence area from potential nuisance from a proposed commercial or industrial subdivision, including provision of extra depth and partial backing up on existing potential residential development. And I also read where all the streets within a planned development must be paved according to the current county specification, and we're definitely not there. And also, and I really found this, that special requirements may be imposed by the Planning and Zoning Commission and governing authority with respect to the street, the curb, the gutter, and sidewalk design. So, I'm like Dennis said before, if they're going to do it, just please make sure that everything is up to code. And I know that they had to submit the paperwork. When they first submitted it, they had to tell what the road was like. They had to put it in detail. But when we came to the first meeting and Dennis read out how the road condition was, I remember the gentleman that was sitting right here said, I haven't been there in a couple of years. I don't know what it looks like now. And I was understanding, well, if you don't know what it looked like now, evidently nobody really reviewed it like they should have. They just let it go by because nobody realized the condition until Dennis said something. And so I'm just saying, please do the right thing. And I'm out, 45 seconds.
You're welcome to use those if you would like. Mr. Martin, anything else? Okay. Then we'll close the public sector to this, and commissioners, y'all have any comments?
I do, Mr. Roy. James, not a road. Now, when this thing was first put in, when was that put in for the 4 bedrooms, the houses? Because my understanding on this from the last meeting is it's the same amount of people gonna live in each house. And the house is gonna be built either way. It don't matter. I mean, in other words, if we turn it down tonight, the same number of houses is gonna be built on each lot with the same number of bedrooms. The only thing we talking about is one front door, right?
Right. I mean, that's, I think what the question was in November was, some of the conditions that staff had placed on the report was basically dealing with the condition of the road in protection of the road during construction. But, it's really going to be a difficult task to try and attribute any damage to a road to that construction. In the same vein, you got to, I think the point was made, same amount of trucks, or essentially the same amount of trucks, block, things like that. Building materials would be the same whether or not you build a single-family home or a duplex. And that's the reason why we're here tonight, is going to a multifamily zoning. If the applicant wanted to build single-family homes, with Pat's Lane being a county road, they could divide those properties up tomorrow, essentially with a survey. So those houses are entitled to go there. Just the change of the zoning would be not necessarily changing the footprint of what's built, but just one bedroom or one door versus 2 doors.
To simplify, what I'm saying is the same, every brick will be hauled in and every block and every load of sand and septic tank, there'll be 2 front doors on it instead of 1 front door.
Correct.
Yeah. So I think some of the questions, and I hate to put Dink on the spot, but maybe if Dink can come up here, or Brad, the county engineer, and kind of give us, because I think the roads is gonna fall on the county's shoulders. It's not gonna be for the developer or for the residents to pave the roads, correct?
Yeah, and County Engineer Brad Deal and I rode out to the property, Pat's Lane, to look at it. And of course, I don't want to speak for Brad, but I think the paving improvement list, those are fairly high on the to-do list. But I'll let Brad speak to that.
Brad, and the main thing is I think we've determined that the houses or the buildings are going there in spite of what we do tonight. I think some of the residents around are wanting maybe something from you or Dink or whatever, or when we would do something out there with the roads.
Right, in terms of the paved road, or the paved roads, I should say, in the neighborhood, we were proposing to put all of those on the next resurfacing list. So essentially, you're talking about the next 12 months or so, we would be planning to resurface all those streets. But as far as the dirt road part, I could probably let Dink speak to that, unless, there's anything, questions on that.
Well, I pretty much think everybody understands that dirt road, about all you can do with it is grade it until it rains, and then we know what you get with that. But if you're saying within 12 months, and I guess I can ask Mr. Martin a question, when would you, either with the 4-bedroom houses or the duplexes, when would you be planning to dig footers? Or
We can wait a little while, but we were planning on within the next 3 months, but we can wait a little while if we need to.
if if you could wait a little while and maybe we could get them roads. I mean, I hate to do a whole lot with the roads, and I'll tell everybody why, because you know if you go in there with a brand-new paved road and they haul bricks and it's done been established that the buildings are going anyway, that's the reason the county doesn't accept any roads in new subdivisions like was spoke of, because if you put new roads in there and they haul the septic tank trucks, shingles, sheetrock, and you carry right on and on, by the time they get through building it, you got the road beat out. So with anything, I think that it's, even with the one developers, you'd be better off to wait, the longer you can wait to pave the roads, because you'll have all the heavy lifting out of there by the time you tear the road up. Because I know developers have a hard time because they have to pass it off to us with the potholes.
And it's a pretty rough dirt road, so
So-
I admit to that, it is.
So with that being said, I just wanted to kind of clarify. I think the big issue here, and really the only issue that as commissioners, is because it's done been established, the building's gonna go on either way, so we need to get something done with the roads, and the main thing I'm after.
Yes, sir. Anything else?
I'm good, thank you.
Ms. Van, excuse me, who was the first young man that spoke?
It's Mr. Nelson.
Mr. Nelson, will you stand, can I ask you a question, please, sir? Now that I hear you, and I want to make sure after Timmy goes all through Timmy's ism, and I have to get mine fed to me right too.
Commissioner, let me ask you a favor. Come to the mic.
I'm trying to save my steps. Today's 2 years old. I don't have any left. Yes, sir.
So after he gets done with his, and like I said, sometimes you got to dumb it down for me too, just a little bit. So you really do not have, what I got out of what you told me, and I think you speak for a lot in the community there, that you don't really have an issue with the development on those lots. It's more or less trying to get something done for the roads that should already be taken. I'm not going to disagree with you on the point whether they should have already been taken care of or haven't. So that's an egg that ain't been broke or has been broke, and if not, we'll break it in just a little while.
No, sir. If I own that property, I would want the right to develop it as well.
Correct.
But if I was going to develop it, I'd have my tenants in mind to try to have them a decent place to live. They will not have that if we don't make these structures. Now, I followed the motor grader down, Billy Michael, this morning when he graded it. It's probably passable now, but like he says, it's probably not suitable to get no trucks down because the dirt is very soft.
Right.
So you'd probably have to pull them in and pull them out. There's no form drainage. So water just runs down like a canal. At least if it was a dirt road, we could put either some clay on it and tighten it up and put some ditches on the dirt road where the water could have some place to go. It goes down everybody's yard now.
Right.
They don't have a place to go.
But as far as the buildings itself, far as that property being developed, that's not the issue. The issue is the drainage on the road and the road itself going to
And the
there, correct?
infrastructure. I mean, we'd love to have sidewalks. We have children that play in that road. I could have took you 50 photographs yesterday and today of kids riding their new toys up and down the
Up and down
road.
the road.
And traffic trying to negotiate between them. No, sir, I don't think anybody actually opposes to that.
Yes, sir.
I mean, it's like people saying, you know, I had a lot next to Dion, for example, and he said, I don't want you to build there. But I own the lot, but you don't want me to build there.
Right.
I don't think that's the issue. What we want to do is see our community like everybody else's community.
Right.
And the county would not approve that like it is.
Yes.
But it's so old.
Yes, sir.
They didn't have all these laws in effect
Right.
back then, but we have them now. So what we're saying, at this point, you invited us to come up here and address our opinion about the zoning.
Yes.
So we wanted to address the whole thing.
Yes, sir.
We'd like for this county to consider maybe taking some money that they might can get somewhere. Maybe even the federal government might help with some of the infrastructure and get some of that done, which would make it a better community, which will certainly make it better for Mr. Martin's tenants as well, because they got to travel down that road and their kids are probably right up and down that sidewalk. And the street lights is very important, I think, because it's the kids on the road all night long and you can't see them. So, I mean, sooner or later, unless something happens, somebody's going to get hurt, and we're all going to be sorry about that for no reason at all.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
But I don't have any opposition to him developing this property. I wish he would reconsider and just build single dwellings, because you talk about duplexes. It's hard to make a duplex look as good as a single residence. They just don't look that way. And talking about single doors, I believe some of them duplexes down there has one door. You walk into a hallway and then you go each way. So you can't drive by them and tell whether duplex or not, because they got a single door. So you go in the door and one goes one way and goes the other way.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Okay? Did you have a question?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, that it?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Appreciate it.
And ladies?
Mr. Dennis, are these your pictures?
Sir?
Are these your pictures?
Oh, yeah, I gave you about 30 of them.
You got half.
And I could give you 30 more today and look almost as bad. But I think you all got those, haven't you?
Yes, sir.
So it gives you a description of what it really looks like when it's wet, okay?
Back to the commissioners. Anything else?
Mr. Chairman, a lot of this zoning request, it seems like this area's just brought a real bad situation to light for the county. Some things that the county needs to address as far as the dirt road and Billy Michael Road, and just overall improvements with, like he said, that the standards that we're moving toward as a whole county. So I'm gonna make a motion, and this may give Mr. Martin some time also, and the county to make some improvements, but I'm gonna make a motion to deny.
Second.
Motion to deny. We have a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion, show of hands. All right, it's 3. 4. All right. Okay, I didn't see Mr. Simmons. So the motion is going to carry to deny this request by a 4-2 vote. Correct? Okay.
Just for the record. You might ask those opposed to raise their hand.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's
Those
okay.
opposed the motion, show of hands. All right, we've got 2 against, so the motion still is denied by 4-2 vote. Thank y'all all for coming. Next on the agenda.
Agenda item 2 tonight is a rezone request by Max Landing LLC, who is seeking to rezone 155.47 acres from an Ag 5 zoning to an R25 zoning for the purpose of developing a single-family resident subdivision. The property is located on Highway 67, and Mr. Hayden Rollins will be acting as agent tonight. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval with conditions by a 4-0 vote, and staff recommends approval with conditions in the staff report. This map is overlaid with the future development map for the county. The star there on 67, that's the approximate location. It is located in the suburban neighborhood character area. And this is a property that is for items 2 and 3 tonight, essentially the same project. You'll see Highway 67 would be the western boundary for the property, and Emmett Grove Road is to the south, and that's according to the proposed sketch plan. The access to the properties or to the subdivision would be along Emmett Grove Road. The applicant was required to perform a traffic study, in which the traffic study and its recommendations are incorporated into the staff conditions in the report, which essentially calls for turn lanes into the subdivision on Emmett Grove Road. Currently, the property is being used as agricultural setting. Let's see, I'll go back to the sketch plan. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Hayden Rollins.
Excuse me for this, but Dale, would you check, see our monitor here? Yep.
This has been cutting on rock whole time for some reason.
We can follow you on the tablet. It's just easier for both of us. Go ahead, sir.
Good afternoon.
Wait a minute.
He's the applicant.
It's off.
He's the applicant.
I know, but we're gonna get over
Top right.
time up there.
Oh, okay. You can go ahead with the time, Mr. Roy, and then we can follow on the tablet. It's just easier if that monitor's on.
Yeah, we having difficulty with the time?
If you're ready to start, I'll start.
Yes.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Commission, and staff. My name is Hayden Rollins with Hussey Gay Bell, and I'm speaking on behalf of the developers. Just to give everybody a little bit more background, this property was purchased by the developers just before the moratorium. We all know that during that moratorium, a lot of things changed for development in the county. This property stayed in the future development map as a rural development, like we've shown on our map. Also, some development standards changed that have really big cost implications for developers. For development like this, you're talking seven figures that are additional costs that developers will have to pay to develop a tract like this. There are a few situations that, in my mind, that require a little bit more attention on a development like this, being that the time that we came through after the moratorium was over with. We felt like we were patient and supported staff in that. Our conditions list two things that I'd like to discuss a little bit further. They're conditions 3 and 4. Condition 3 lists that Alford Road should be paved for the length of the development originating from Emmett Grove Road and Highway 67, requiring a minimum of 50-foot right-of-way with design and materials approved by the county engineer. We would respectfully ask the commissioners to consider only requiring the developers to pave up to the entrances of our subdivision. We believe it's an undue burden to the developers to have to pave the entire length of the property, just simply due to the fact that there likely isn't any more development on Alford Road, just by the geography of the land as it sits today. The other condition is item number 4 with the turn lane installation. It states that prior to the issuance of certificate of occupancy, the developer shall be responsible for installing 2 left turn lanes on Emmett Grove Road for west and east driveway entrances as proposed on the rezoned site plan. The developer shall be required to install a right turn lane on Emmett Grove Road at the intersection of Georgia Highway 67 and Emmett Grove Road. We are okay with putting a right turn lane in for the access from Emmett Grove and Highway 67. However, we would like the commissioners to consider to not have to put in the left turn lanes on Emmett Grove Road. Simply because, yes, our traffic study says that left turn lanes would be required, but the way that the studies are done, GDOT has certain things that they use to determine whether left turns are needed or not. One of those is speed limit, and the other is trips per day, as well as the number of cars on that road as it sits today and projected. We fall well below the thresholds of all those. We do meet the number of left turn lanes for a 55-mile-an-hour zone, but as you can see by our proposed map, we're very close to Highway 67, so odds are pretty slim that somebody's able to get to 55 miles an hour by the time they get to our access point. But with that being said, I'll be glad to answer any questions that commission has or any citizens. Thank you.
Jack Connor.
Thank you, Commissioners. I appreciate y'all having me here tonight and listening to us. I can just repeat what Mr. Rollins had to say. This piece of property is in the comprehensive land use plan. It's shown there as future development for the county. The commissioners and the staff put together. We've been very much in support of everything the commissioners and the staff have had to do during these last few changes, especially during the moratorium. And we understand the battles that everybody's going through. Like Hayden did say, we did purchase this property prior to the moratorium. And coming out the other side of that, there are a lot of changes for us as developers. 7 figures will cover it, maybe, definitely on a piece this size, but we support what the county's made their decisions at, and we're going to play by what you tell us to do, and we appreciate the work and the staff and commissioners have put into it. We are asking for the rezone to R25, as well as 2 variances. One is that we just paved to our entrance. I've been doing this probably 25 years. My partners have probably been doing it over 50, and we've never had to really pave past an entrance before. That's a new one, and it'll help impact some of the costs that's been in the change. Also, the left turn lanes is something we'd like to have some consideration on. As Hayden said, I think, and I'm not an engineer, but I think the GDOT count is 6,000 trips a day to need a left turn lane. And if I'm not wrong, the traffic study showed 450 current trips a day. So 450 trips compared to 6,000 for the expense of a left turn lane, it's a little excessive, we feel. And on the other side, I think that left turn lane is 9/10 of a mile from 67. So unless we're going to drag race up and down Emmett Grove, which I hope nobody is, I don't think we're going to be impacted by the speed limit on that. Once again, I appreciate the consideration of everybody, and I appreciate the changes this county's going through and everything you're doing to take care of them. Does anybody have any questions?
Mr. Conner, y'all don't have any problem with drainage, the curbs, sidewalks and stuff?
No, sir, that's what the county's asked us to do. Now, I know that staff has talked to us about, making other considerations on the minimum, but we are going to put curb and gutters planned in the subdivision. But we look forward to working with staff and amending some of the changes that were made during there. But at this point, we do plan to put curb and gutter, tree buffers as were requested, and everything else, Mr. Rushing.
And Miss Jeannie, I seen her back there, shore sidewalks, you got to talk. Yeah.
Ms. Marsh, I'm not short you when you show up sidewalks. Where's she? Right. Yeah. So we plan to put sidewalks in as well as requested.
Mr. Conant,
Yes, sir, Mr. Steele.
The right turn, we're wanting you to do right turn off of Emmett?
We feel that's necessary. Yes, sir.
Okay. I was just wanting to make.
It's the left turn lanes that are a little excessive, we feel. Yes, sir. Thank you all.
John Lavender.
I'd like to defer my time unless you have specific questions.
Okay, that was it for. Chris Scheider.
In favor or opposed?
Opposed.
Okay.
For the opposed side. My name's Chris Scheider, resident and a vested interest in Emmett Grove area. I'm a little baffled by this departmental review. There's only 1 positive and 5 negatives for this. We have an economic problem. We have a school problem. In this development review, they talk about the Southeast Bulloch High School. They fail to mention the middle school. They fail to mention the elementary school, which are all at capacity. Law enforcement, EMS, we all know there's a shortfall. Potential recreation areas. Traffic is another thing. Due to the review in here, they say over 1,300 trips per day. That was based off of the departmental review. So they're asking for turn lanes and the partial pavement of Alford, which I may have misread that. I thought they were paving all of Alford Road. A couple questions I have. It seems the developer is going against the staff review on the left turn lanes, which I have a question. How are those to be established? What, are they going to require more right-of-way, or are they going to require an easement through there to reestablish the ditches, the drainage, and other items they talk about? The same goes with Alford Road. Alford Road is currently a dirt road, as you saw in the pictures y'all had. Drainage, it does not work in this area, as my parents' property is that little triangle beside the church. During the hurricane, all the water ran down from the field and ponded there with 3 inches of water in the house. So I have a huge concern with drainage in this area, and I have also contacted the Bulloch County engineer about this and received no response. So, I'm not against development in Bulloch County by any means, but I am wary of how you develop, because you set forth the policies and procedures, and I just don't understand how you came up with an approval with so many negatives. Thank you.
Mr. Tim Powell.
So I'm opposed to this development. And to save time, I'm also opposed to Burke GSL LLC, 70.37 acres, KB Reynolds, 75.77 acres, and Simco Investment Group, 99.3 acres. And to go along with all of the concerns that was mentioned by the gentleman before me, my concern is for the taxpayers of Bulloch County. Now, the Planning and Zoning Department uses a computer modeling tool to forecast the physical impact on our county of these rezoning requests. It's called the Envision Tomorrow Regional Fiscal Impact Tool 3.4. Now, I've never used it, but I studied the results that it came up with, and it seems to me that what it's trying to tell us is, and tell you guys particularly, mostly, that in 7 years, the tax income from these developments will fall woefully short of what the costs to the county actually are. And so for Simco Investment Groups, if you add all those four developments together and throw in the one you did back in September on Schuman Road, you're right at $5 million in a shortfall of what the tax money coming in from these developments will offset the services provided to the developments. And that's done by his office. Those aren't my numbers. So, you know, at $5 million, that would be about half of what our budget went up this year, causing us to have a 30% increase in taxes average. So 7 years from now, if approved, this will be just on these developments we're talking about tonight, plus Human Road, $5 million more for funding the growth. I'm helping fund the growth, You're helping fund the growth. All these people out here, the ones watching online and the ones that don't care, are all going to be funding the growth at some point, 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road. We can't keep doing this. We've got to figure out how to fund the growth by having, Santa Claus, I mean Benji Thompson, CEO of the Development Authority of Bulloch County, to stop giving away 10-year tax abatements to billion-dollar corporations. Look, I always bring solutions. My solution is to reject all of these rezones tonight. Place another moratorium on rezoning until you can come up with an impact fee structure that will cause the developers of these subdivisions to bear the costs to county services, and quit throwing it onto the backs of the property taxpayers of this county who already are carrying more than their fair share of the load.
He had rebuttal time. Everybody spoken that signed up to speak.
Yes.
And we had, all right, we're just trying to see rebuttal time.
I'll keep this short as I'm just an engineer, so I don't know about the physical impact side of things. But I would like to speak on the drainage. The county has put forth new drainage standards that we will follow. So I could definitely say that there'll be an improvement in drainage in that area after our development is complete. As far as traffic is concerned, if the county goes forward with the conditions that are listed for the turn lanes, we're going to do what the county requests, and we'll work with the county engineer to ensure traffic is, the impact is a minimum to this area.
Ma'am, you will not be able to speak. I'm sorry. And I want to explain why I do that. We have to start on time. And we cannot add those that did not sign up, because probably then everybody would want to speak. And that's why we do that.
Sir, you already did it one time today.
Well, we had a time limit.
There's still 2 minutes.
Okay, come up and speak, ma'am.
Y'all really don't want to hear from me anyway. Emmett Grove is my stomping grounds. Our church has been there for 100 years. I feel like everything's going to go and it's going to happen. But what I want to ask, and I should have did some research, but my office in Savannah has been kind of crazy. We're shorthanded. I would like to ask for a solid buffer on the cemetery side of the property if this passes. It's pretty hard if you're having a cemetery, if you're having a funeral on Saturday morning and there's a hip-hop pool party going on in the backyard. So that's what I'd ask. So that's my concern. I, of course, would rather it not happen. When Max Landon tried to come over on Emmett Grove Road, I read y'all this poem, and I'm going to read it again. The county that was. There was a county that you could drive through and see fields of cotton, the snow of the south. There was a county that in springtime you could see rows of green growing crops shining in the summer sun. There was a county with the smell of freshly plowed dirt, and in the fall the smell of plowed up peanuts. There was a county that if you got behind a farmer on a tractor, you were thankful that you knew real farmers and that you knew where your food came from, not just the grocery store. There was a county that on Friday night you could go to the local high school football game and watch your friends and neighbors' kids play on the field, playing football, cheering, or being in the band. There was a county with acres and acres of planted pines where hunting was enjoyed by all. There was a county with an awesome and highly sought-after school system. There was a county that leadership did not stop, look, and listen to see what they were so blessed to have that others wanted to have, and they gave it all away, and then it was gone, never to be had again. I do not want to be the county that was.
Do we have any additional time on the other side? We have any rebuttal from the other side? I had listed down 2 minutes and 33 seconds, but any more rebuttal?
No further.
Okay, thank you. We have 54 seconds on the other side. Anyone else like to speak for 54 seconds? Well, citizens, we're gonna try to do this as honest, as equal as we can. And the reason I did let the other gentleman speak is because he had a misconception that he signed up the last time, didn't think he was going to have to sign up this time. But we want everybody a fair chance. So we've got 54 seconds open. Does anyone have anything to say?
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I'm supposed to.
But you're going to have to step up to the mic to speak. Morning.
I just have one question. Why is Bulloch County not giving these builders impact fees to help pay for some of this cost? I've lived in other counties, and everybody has impact fees. And it's time that we stepped up to it to get some of our costs back. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, we're going to end the public side of this particular meeting, and I'm going to turn it over to the commissioners. Commissioners, you have any questions? And if not, then I will ask for a motion.
I do have a question in relation to her question. Is there plans for a vegetated buffer on any of this development?
We'll have the buffers as required in the new work.
Okay, I thought there was, what was required?
25 foot.
That's right.
Open air.
So the ordinance would require the 25-foot vegetative buffer, or it could be reduced to half with a solid fence. So if you put a fence there, it would, there's still some vegetative requirements, but yeah. So.
Okay. Any other questions from the commissioners or comments?
And I would add, sorry, Mr. Chairman, but on those buffer requirements, we now require those buffers to remain in an easement that would, the homeowners association would maintain, because that has been a problem in the past where once a lot's sold, those buffers get cut down and they, just aren't maintained. So now we require those to be a part of an easement with HOA looking over those.
Good. Any other comments? And hearing no other comments, I will call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we approve this request striking conditions 3 and 4.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the request striking conditions 3 and 4.
Now, that, part of that number 4 condition is the turn lane at 67, right? It remains.
I think there's, both 3 and 4 have several components to it. I mean, I would take it as stated, then all of those turn lanes go away. If that's the intent of the motion, then I'm not, just want to clarify that.
That's the intent.
We're good with the
Okay.
right turn on 67 and Emmett Road.
Yeah, that was
That's
my
the
understanding
intent.
as far as, I would second the motion for the two left turn lanes, but not the turning lane going out on 67. It needs to remain the same. You understand, you got two left turn lanes on Emmett Grove Church, and then you got a turning lane, a right turn lane at Emmett Grove and 67.
Correct.
And that's all under condition 4.
Yes. So are you suggesting to keep any turn lanes or strike all 3 turn lanes?
Well, keep the turn lanes. The two on Emmett Grove Road.
Okay. So the one on 67 turning on to Emmett Grove is the one that we would strike? Is that, or am I upside down there? Is it?
We're good with keeping the right turn, if you're
Yeah.
on Emmett Road going towards 67,
Yeah.
keep the right turn, like if you're turning back towards Statesboro. But the left turns is what I believe to be, those are the ones we would like to see some relief on, the left turns from Emmett Road turning into the development.
They don't want to do left turns here, but they said they do a right turn on 67.
Do you want to withdraw your motion and amend it?
Yeah.
All right, can you go ahead and amend the motion?
So I would keep the motion to approve the subdivision, and with the amendment of keeping the right turn roads.
I think if I understood your original motion, you wanted to approve the rezoning and relief condition number 3 is requested by the applicant, which would not require paving for the entire length of the development to Alford Road,
Yeah.
or past Alford Road.
That's right.
To Alford Road. And then relief condition number 4 for the 2 left turn lanes on Emmett Grove Road, but
Keep the,
keep the right turn lane northbound
Yeah.
on Highway 67. Is that correct?
that's it, sir.
Okay, commissioners, you understand the motion? Can we have the amended motion on the floor? Do we have a second?
Second.
We have any more discussion? All those in favor of the amended motion, show of hands. That opposed, okay. It's approved unanimously. Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. We'll move on to item number 3.
All right, item number 3 tonight is a rezoning request, also by Max Landing LLC, who is seeking to rezone 12.3 acres from highway commercial zone to an R25 zone for the purpose of developing a single-family subdivision, single-family residence subdivision. The property is located on Highway 67, and Mr. Hayden Rollins will be acting as agent. Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval with conditions by 4-0 vote. Staff recommends approval with conditions in the staff report. Again, location, this is just to the north of the property from the previous agenda item. As you see, the current zoning map, the highway commercial with conditions is in green. That is along Highway 67 and Alford Road. There is R25 subdivision just to the north of this. That subdivision will access Alford Road. However, this, as proposed, would not access that portion of Alford Road. Nearby zoning is similar density to what's being proposed. And this is the sketch plan. So as you can see on this plan, the highway commercial that goes along Alford Road that was rezoned probably close to 10, 15 years ago from a previous owner. It would just be a reduction in that highway commercial zoning to allow more of the single-family homes. So that I'll ask Mr. Hayden Rollins to the podium.
Good afternoon again. Hayden Rollins, Hussey Gay Bell. Like Mr. Pope stated, this is really part of the previous request. We're reducing the amount of highway commercial, and I'd be glad to answer any questions that commissioner or staff may have at the time being. Thank you.
Mr. Jack Connor.
Ma'am, I defer. Thank you.
Okay, and Mr. John Lavender. Okay, that's it.
Okay, that's it. We have no one signed up against. So I will now turn it over to the commissioners. Do you have any questions? Hearing none, I will ask for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question to the developers? I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Maybe not for the engineer, but like what kind of vegetative buffer do y'all plan to do along 67?
Stop. If whoever's going to answer that question, if you come to the mic.
Once again, my name is Jack Connor. Still, thank you for asking the question. I know we're going to have a vegetation buffer between R25 and the highway commercial, Ms. Deal. What vegetation buffer is going to be required between highway commercial and 67 will be whatever the county requires. I don't know how to answer that question, other than what the county is going to require us to do at the time of preliminary plat.
Okay, I apologize. I was misreading the map. So there is going to be a strip of commercial that will remain.
Yes, sir. We're actually asking to reduce from highway commercial to R25. Yes, sir. But I don't know if they're going to want a vegetation buffer between the highway commercial and 67. That's GDOT and the county staff, and we'll go along with whatever's recommended there.
Yeah, I think there may be some kind of a frontage buffer depending upon the use. You know, when we retooled the ordinances and particularly looked at landscaping and buffers, the use that's going to be, whatever's going to be put in will probably dictate what kind of buffer, whether it's front, sides, parking, wherever. So I think we made a pretty comprehensive effort to improve the buffer requirements. So I don't know that there'd be great concern about it until we know exactly what's going to be going in for a permit.
And we'll adhere to those at the time still. Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you.
Back to the commissioners. Any questions? Hearing none, then I'll ask for a motion.
Move to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion to approve, second. Any more discussion? All those in favor, show of hands. Unanimous approval. Next.
All right. Item number 4 tonight is a condition modification. VAL NOC LLC, Valock LLC has submitted a condition modification to change condition 3 to reduce the required 60-foot right-of-way to a 50-foot right-of-way due to a hardship of the property and along Anderson Cemetery Road. Mr. Joey Max will be acting as agent. Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval with conditions or approval by a 3-to-1 vote. And then staff recommends that approval based on primarily off what county engineer has reviewed and believes would work on that that stretch of road. This development is just to the south of where the previous agenda item is. In your staff report, you'll see the decision sheet that was part of the rezone decision from July of 2023. This was rezoned to an R25. Part of the conditions stated that, again, there would be a 60-foot right-of-way for Anderson Cemetery Road with paving from that portion that touches the DOT right-of-way up to, which was actually the entirety of Anderson Cemetery Road. However, planning and zoning granted a variance to the number of entryways into the subdivision. And so, as shown on the proposed sketch plan, the condition as it was originally intended with the paving of entirety of Anderson Cemetery Road with a 60-foot right-of-way, I think with that variance, then the entirety of the paving, that may need to be looked at, which you have the ability to modify the condition in any way tonight. So that's kind of the background of how we got to the design change. But I believe, and Mr. Brad Deal, county engineer, could speak to it, but I believe staff's comfortable with the reduction down to a 50-foot right-of-way. But this is the property as it currently is. I wish I had a little better picture, but this is at the end of the pavement on Anderson Cemetery Road, and the development would, again, extend that pavement on at least to the entrance of the subdivision. So, with that, Mr. Maxwell, Mr. Joey Maxwell is agent.
Thank you. For the record, my name is Joey Maxwell with Maxwell Reddick and Associates, and I'm here tonight on behalf of Valock LLC, respectfully requesting a change of conditions to, is actually listed as number 3 under the original rezone. And it reads, roadway improvements, Anderson Cemetery Road shall be paved for the length of the development, requiring a minimum 60-foot right-of-way with design and materials approved by the county engineer. This particular subdivision, as you may be aware, this is the very first subdivision to come through the commission under the new ordinance. So as being a new ordinance and a new subdivision, we've gone through and worked close with the staff to try to accommodate the new ordinance and work through the process. Unfortunately, during our design process, we did try to work around a cemetery, and the cemetery became quite of a big hurdle for us. As you know, all county dirt roads are the property owners own to the center line of the road. And the county has had these issues before in the past where they want to pave a dirt road and they have to get right of way from each side of the road. And that's not always a good, palatable discussion with those property owners. And the developers, Valock LLC, John Lavender and Jack Connor here with me tonight, they went to the property owners trying to see if they could get some right of way from them. And one said that they would give them some particular, possibly, but the other said no. So we came back and asked for the request from the Planning and Zoning Board to see if we could reduce our entrances, and also in tonight's to reduce the right-of-way from 60 to 50. Now, that 50 feet, as you can imagine, is coming all from this property. It's coming from the center line of the existing dirt road over to this property. So as you saw the pavement in the photo, that pavement coming from 67, we have to reroute that road, basically where the roadside ditch is today, onto this property. That's with the 50 feet. But our biggest hurdle is the cemetery. We don't want to go into the cemetery. We don't want to disturb anything there or run the risk of disturbing anything. So with the single entrance that's approved, we respectfully request that if you grant us the 50 feet, but also reduce the pavement requirement down to the first entrance there, or just past the front entrance. That way, we don't have to go into the cemetery area. So there is truly a hardship here in this particular case, and just want to bring that to your attention. So if anything else, I will defer at any time to any opposition. Thank you.
We have Jack Connor,
Thank you.
okay, and John Lavender.
Chairman Thompson and Commissioners, hey, I'm John Lavender. Mr. Maxwell explained it quite thoroughly as an engineer, but just to put it in simple terms, what we're requesting is just to pave the Anderson Cemetery Road up through the first entrance and to reduce the right-of-way to 50 feet in lieu of the 60 feet due to the hardship created by the cemetery. Thank you.
And that's all that's signed up to speak. Now I'll turn it over to the commissioners. Do you have any questions? Comments? Hearing none, then I'll ask for a motion.
So move, Mr. Chairman, on this rezone, or this request to reduce the routage for hardship.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve.
Second. We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, show of hands. Unanimous approval. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question real quick? It's part of the motion, is that to reduce the pavement just past the first entrance also?
Correct.
Correct. I apologize for that.
Jeff, we need to revote or anything, or it's clear?
Well, I'm not sure I followed that exactly. Pat, are you saying to reduce the paving? I don't think that was a part of the motion, was it? Or that's not on this?
That was not part of the motion. The motion was simply to reduce the right-of-way from 60 to 50, but in addition to that motion, we were requesting that the pavement, that code section or the conditions that were placed on it, that part of that was also to pave the whole distance of Anderson Cemetery to Clifton. So we're requesting that be amended to be from 60 feet to 50 feet and the pavement go just past the first entrance. That's the clarification.
Okay, well, James, was that part of the original request? I would never have known that when I read what was on the staff report.
Well, we had to go through some other issues with the planning and zoning first to get to this stage. This process of the new ordinance has been a little bit cumbersome, to say the least, trying to figure our way through it, working with the staff and trying to make sure that we have everything on the docket the way we want it. But that's what we're requesting, is a change to that condition.
Okay, well, I guess they can approve that if they want to, but,
Yeah, it was my understanding that essentially they were looking at number 3 condition, and however the board pleased, in whether they wanted to strike it, modify it, or deny it.
okay.
Do you want me just to retract my motion?
Was the motion voted on, or was it?
Yeah.
It was. Will you state for the record that did your motion include reducing the paving just to the first entrance?
Just to the first entrance and 50 feet.
Okay. I think that's sufficient.
Okay, thank you. All right. Completed that one. We're moving on to item number 5.
All right, item 5 tonight is a streetlight tax district creation. Bridgewater Homeowners Association of Statesboro has submitted a streetlight special tax district application for an existing development The subdivision is located on Josh Deal Road. John McDivitt, the HOA president, will be acting as agent. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval by 4-0 vote, and staff recommends approval. There's this streetlight district, and what it would create is basically taking over an existing streetlight district that's being paid for by the homeowners association. The 124 lots that is being requested would be, the special streetlight tax district would place the yearly dues on the tax bill for these 124 homeowners, and which the existing lights would remain and continue as they currently do. It'd just be that the homeowners pay that on their property tax rather than to the homeowners association. But because it is an existing streetlight tax district, we did take careful note of all the homeowners and current homeowners, and we did send them notices in the mail as we try to do in these cases. And we did have the required minimum amount of signatures to create streetlight tax district. And these are the present locations of the streetlights. And then we do have a letter from Georgia Power, which states they would maintain the streetlights as all our other streetlight special tax districts are. And let's see. Again, public hearing is required for an existing subdivision, so I'm not sure if anyone has signed up to speak, but.
You can call her name out and see if she wants to say it.
This is Mr. McDevitt. I think, did you sign the sign-up sheet?
I signed the sheet, I'm just here in case any questions.
All right.
Okay, so. Questions from the commissioners? Comments? And I'll ask for a motion.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead. Second.
So motion, second, discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, show of hands. Unanimous approval. Thank you. Item number 6.
Item 6 is a conditional use request by Robert Saxon and Shannon Garner, who are requesting to allow McClendon Enterprises to use the property for natural resource development at 1015 Highway 80 East, and Mr. Logan Irvine will be acting as agent. Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval by 4-0 vote, and staff recommends approval of the conditional use. This would, natural resource development, also means surface mining, so, it would involve digging, soil and removing that off-site. The location of this development, is the southeast corner of the county. Just the access would be on Highway 80. And this is the property in which located. It is Zone Ag 5, which is a conditional use for that zone. This is an aerial of the property. And again, the road infrastructure, the impacts would primarily be the Department of Transportation or State Highways maintenance responsibility, in which they require a permit for the driveway and their plan of action for operation of this mine as well as other state agencies that permit these mines beyond what the zoning requires, so. The sketch plan, site plan that was provided, I know it's a little difficult to see, but in the portion of the property where it was a field, that's where the digging would occur and then access out to 80. They did provide an operation plan and in which we do have supplemental standards in our ordinance now that addresses any, the operations of these uses. But with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Logan Irvine for, as agent.
Good evening. My name's Logan Irvin with MESEC Engineering here on behalf of our client McClendon Enterprises, who's proposing this borrow pit or surface mine to generate fill material for two of their transportation projects in the region. One of which is the frontage road at the Hyundai mega site, and the other one being the roundabout construction at Highway 80 and Highway 280 in Blythton. We feel that this is the best case scenario for the citizens of Bulloch County, considering all the transportation and hauling traffic is handled within state routes, so Bulloch County roads aren't being used. As Mr. Pope mentioned, we do have a driveway permit from DOT, which essentially handles all the transportation side, approves the traffic volume that we're proposing. We feel that when you consider the fact that these jobs are already set in motion, that fill material is required for the development blowing up in the area, that it's better for the citizens and the local region to have this fill material coming in on a shorter route as opposed to being hauled in from somewhere much further than the 5-mile commute that we're proposing here. I'd be happy to answer any questions or concerns about the specifics of the project if anybody has any.
Okay, any questions at present time?
What's the depth y'all looking at?
Down to 30 feet, but it really just depends on how much they need for the two jobs.
And what's the wetland survey out around it?
Excuse me?
What is the wetland survey out around it? How much deeper are you gonna be than where the wetlands are?
Anywhere from 25 to 30 feet.
Okay, thanks, sir.
Yes, sir.
Then you can reserve the time for questions afterward then. I think we've got some signed up opposed.
Cindy Navarro.
Hi, I'd like to know, is this going to affect our property values? I live right there on Kendricks Road, and I'm worried about the water table, I'm worried about the wetlands, and I'm worried about the property value. It's my understanding that the property value goes down when a bar pit is dug. I may be wrong. I see the expression on Mr. Crouch's face, so I may be wrong. But I just need the answers, and also the natural resources. Is it just gonna be the bar pit, or is it gonna be developed later on for something else too? And I understand that they have 3 years to get this dug, and they're supposed to not landscape it, but make it presentable. And I heard it was gonna be a fishing hole later on, a public fishing hole. So if somebody could just answer those questions, we'd greatly appreciate it. But the main thing is the water table. We're worried about our wells running dry. So, thank you.
Lynn Moore. DJ Moore.
Good evening, everyone. DJ Moore. My question would be, has there been soil samples done to a depth to know what kind of fill dirt you're dealing with? I know a property owner just on the other side of the bottom that has had a pit dug and stopped because all they run into was a bad gumbo dirt, good for nothing. So I'm asking is if has there been any kind of due diligence done on what kind of dirt they're dealing with?
Jessica Bennett.
First, I would like to speak for my neighbors, Kathy and Jimmy Todd, who cannot be here tonight, so they did write up something for me to share. Tonight, you are considering a rezoning of the property. As a neighboring property, I'm expressing my husband's and my objection to this development. The staff report contained in your agenda packet for item 6 states that under the land use planning impact states that the zoning pattern is inconsistent with other zoning patterns of neighboring properties and that the neighborhood character and property values may be negatively impacted. In addition, later in that report, it states that under parking, road, and drainage impact that the driveway entrance would require modifications to support the activity once the zoning is approved by commissioners, because this was originally planned for December 5th and it got pushed back to today. Yet as of December 12th, crews are already out there working and paving the new entrance off of Highway 80 onto the property before the zoning approval even occurred. So this new entry has been completed after a few days of that, December 12th. And so they're saying they appealed to the Board of Commissioners requesting you deny this zoning modification. So in the packet that had to be submitted from Planning and Zoning for the land use planning impact, out of the 5 things for land use, 3 of them are negative. And to answer your question, it says that the proposed use appears to be inconsistent with the zoning patterns and use in the nearby area. The proposed use may injure or detract from existing neighborhoods if conditions are not enforced by the development. The proposed use may detract from existing properties if applicant property fails to adhere to ordinances and conditions. So to me, that does say that our property values, I'm the neighbor directly through the woods across the swamp. That's my property there, 25 acres. We enjoy the natural environment and the wetlands that are right behind our house, and we do not want those to be impacted. As a part of this packet that was submitted for planning and zoning, it states, one thing to go back to the driveway real quick, it says that driveway improvements shown on the sheet shall be done in accordance with Georgia DOT requirements. The improvements are to be made prior to the commitments of any natural resource development hauling activities, but that was supposed to be done after this got approved, and like we're right here today, it hadn't been approved yet. Another thing it states about the wetlands, and Toby, you asked about the wetland surveys. It says that the wetlands shown on these plans have been demarcated by Sly Environment Consultants. They're actually going right now a process of jurisdictional determination by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. I did find that report. It's not finalized right now. So with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, the final area of the wetlands has not been determined, and we're wanting to go right in and dig right behind them to where I feel that 25 feet is not a large enough buffer for that. It says that the wetland, the parcels are in, it says, interestingly enough, it says the flood zone X is an area of minimal flood hazards. So they explained in this write-up what flood zone X was. They said it's also in flood zone A, which they don't explain what flood zone A is in that. So if you look that up, flood zone A in Georgia, areas with a 1% annual chance of flooding and a 26% chance of flooding over the life of a 30-year mortgage. So X is like safe, good to go, like 500-year flood zone. A, which this property is also in A, is within 30 years of my mortgage of living in my house, which when it rains, my whole front yard floods because I'm almost in the wetlands myself. It's saying here that this is a 26% chance, so over a quarter of a chance that this area could be flooded out. So I think that might be all I wanted to say. So we are just concerned really for the environmental aspect of it, of what's going to happen to the wetlands, because the studies have not been done yet. The studies from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has not even been finalized yet, so we don't have an answer on that. They're saying they're going to dig maybe 30 feet or until they get enough dirt that they want for these projects. So there's no limit on that. I know the surface pit that's over on Schuman Road is already 75 feet, and I guess they're continuing to dig there still. So I feel like if they're saying maybe 30 feet up to 3 years, 30 feet is not going to be the limit. And I know that at our house, if we're digging fence posts, when you dig 2 to 3 feet, you hit water. So we're already concerned about, like my neighbor was saying, about the water level in our area, in addition to the 2 to 4 industrial wells that will be most likely dug right on Highway 46, which is right behind that property where they're wanting to do the surface mining pit. So in addition to the industrial wells for the Hyundai Meta plant, and now the surface mining pit, the concerns of the wetlands, I just feel like this whole area is being impacted by what we're calling growth, which is not responsible growth in my mind. Thank you.
That's it. What's that gentleman's name? Mr. Irvine.
You're the same company, right? Yeah.
If y'all might could address, they have 8 minutes to try to answer some of these questions that, then if we have questions, we'll ask y'all those also.
Very good, Commissioners. Thanks again for hearing this action tonight. I'm Marcus Sack with MESAC Engineering, going to help out on answering some of those questions. With regard to property value, in our design, we did try to tuck this behind the natural wetland buffers that exist there, so you're not going to see it from the road. I can't really speak to how it impacts the property values other than you won't really be able to see it. We heard a lot about wetlands tonight, and our neighbor was correct in that it is being studied, or it has been studied by a wetland consultant. All of that's been submitted to the Army Corps of Engineers. They'll be reviewing that and give us a verification. Should they disagree with the line that was set up by our consultants, that line would then move, and then we would have to adjust our design such that those wetlands wouldn't be impacted. That's important. That's the law. We would follow those laws. Has the soil been sampled? It has. There's been borings out there. We have a pretty good understanding of the type of soils that'll be removed from the site. They're good down to about 30 feet, so that's why we're saying the depth of the pond will be around 30 feet. We don't expect it to go any deeper than that. That's a max depth based on the soil study that's been performed. Let's see, flood zone X and A. I believe the flood zone A is predominantly around the existing pond. Since the pond is there, you can imagine that there would be some flood zone because there's standing water there now. We don't anticipate that this will make flooding any worse, being that it's on the downhill side. In fact, it being a reservoir and having the capacity to hold water could potentially help drainage in the area. And once this is done and it's reclaimed per the Environmental Protection Division's requirements, it will be a natural pond just like any other pond. It could be used for fishing. There are no plans, I don't think right now, for it to be a public fishing pond. It would just be a pond that exists on this property that could be used for irrigation or any other natural resource like most ponds would be. And I think I've hit most of the questions. Happy to answer any questions that you have.
I've got one.
Yes, sir.
And I guess I'm going to direct it to our county engineer. Y'all have already started work on this?
Our clients did, because of the delay, want to go out there at their own risk and start building that entryway. So I do believe that work did get started. It was approved by the Department of Transportation. Should this not move forward, that's at their risk.
My question is, would they have had to have come to us first before they get, this might be stupidity on my part, but before they could have done anything or not?
Sorry, I was trying to make sure I got the time right for the other side. The question is about the entryway, is that right? I mean, my department's issued no permits for anything related to this development. So whatever DOT has permitted would be through their office. I don't necessarily have any control over what they add as a driveway. That could be done as a private individual or, so all I can say is no permit has been issued through my office to do anything that is required for this development. DOT may have issued a permit, I don't know, but, I think it's, like he said, at their own risk, but, for the purpose of this case, I don't see an issue with it.
What was the nature of the improvement?
Of the driveway? I think they wanted a hard surface entry, ingress, egress there. 30-foot wide. Yeah, 30-foot wide.
Is that proximate to the existing width or the previous width?
They would be larger.
Oh, much larger.
Yeah.
There was a tiny little dirt road entrance that you didn't even notice driving by, and now it's a very huge entrance.
What kind of use was stated on the GDOT application?
Was there a use required on that? Nothing was hidden. It was the same use, same purpose. I think there was a meeting out on site as well. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Could you elaborate on some of the conditions that EPD's gonna put on y'all? I mean, I know it's a 3-to-1 slope. That's gonna limit the depth. I don't know exactly. I mean, you're gonna have to maintain a 3-to-1 slope.
Yes, sir.
And I will kind of touch on Mr. Roy and Mr. James' part, being I put in driveways all the time. A landowner owned the Georgia Department right away can apply to put a driveway in. If this does fall through, they can use it for whatever they want to. As far as the DOT, we have no control over, but they will issue you a permit. I get them all the time. So if they just want to use it for whatever they want to use it to access their land. So they wouldn't have had to come before James or us to ask about the driveway. That would have been solely on the property owner. And if they wanted to take the risk to put the driveway in and this not go through, then they have spent some money. They'll just have them a real nice driveway. And if he'll just elaborate on the depth as far as at a 3-to-1 slope, I don't know how wide it is or how narrow it gets, but that's going to limit the depth they can go on this pit. And I just wanted to kind of explain that to everybody.
I would like to add the GDOT permit was given to the county, and it was a condition from Mr. Deal for the engineering department that we get that driveway permit.
Thank you. EPD puts quite a few requirements on surface mining permits. It's fairly well regulated. Slope certainly being one of them, the reclamation being the largest, and that once operations have ceased, you have to vegetate it. You have to have a planting plan. It can't exist, in a dirt form after it's done. So they're very stringent on it. I think some of it's shown on that plan. If we could go back to the operational plan, maybe. Number 5, reclamation of the spar pit, excavating all slopes within the project area to a max of 3-to-1, combining the sediment pond area, laydown area, bar pit itself. So there's quite a few things. In addition, I think it's important to note throughout the construction of this project, the sediment will be removed prior to the water leaving the pond. Obviously you have to dewater a deep hole, and there'll be a lot of efforts made to ensure that the water leaving that hole is cleaned before it goes into the wetlands as well. Those are probably the largest items. Does that answer your question, sir? Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have none.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Bennett,
Yes.
you said a bar pit.
If you step to the
If you
mic.
step up here, please. I'm sorry. That's me. I distracted. You said a bar pit that's already being dug where? On
Near Schuman Road.
Near Schuman Road?
Mm-hmm. Y'all are here, right? Schuman Road? So there's I was told there's a surface mining pit off Schuman Road, and it's already 75 feet deep at this time.
All right. I don't know that one. I'm gonna have to go ride down there tomorrow and find out. Surface mining is, let's be honest here. There's ways to go about it, that benefit people in this county, benefit people very dear to everybody in this room. We're not dealing with a local person here. We're dealing with a big enterprise. And if there is no more questions.
Can I just say something about the driveway thing? Because it's in here in the write-up from Planning and Zoning that says a county driveway access permit will be required for the property and that road improvements will need to be made if approved. So since it's already in, I do wonder what road improvements, because no road improvements have been made and the driveway's already there. So I don't know. It seems to me a lot of this is backwards. You go ahead and do the work and then you get permission, apparently. I don't really know.
Thank you, Ms. Bennett. I appreciate you.
You're welcome.
And I'll just add to that, to the comment, just for clarification. I think that was just something that was missed by the staff in my office, but primarily me. But for clarification, the permit to access the state highway would be DOT. It would not be a county permit. So, I mean, I do see it in the staff report, but under traffic impact, it does talk about Highway 80 being a state maintained road, and that, some consideration to the bridges in the area were taken in by the staff when we make our consideration and recommendation. So I will say that was on me and my department, but.
I'm in another type of business and I'm way over my head here, but I have to ask this question. I'm trying to figure out why they are here if the DOT has already given them permission to dig or whatever.
Well, I mean, the driveway could be anyone that, say you drive a semi-truck home and you want to expand your driveway. I mean, you could for certain get that with DOT approval. For the county purposes, we look at infrastructure, but more or less, I mean, county infrastructure's not tremendously impacted by this case. Other cases it would be. Maybe what was mentioned on Schuman Road would be Old River Road, surface mine, same thing, consideration there.
They digging there too?
One was approved I think right before you.
Ain't no digging.
Okay, well, and maybe not, I don't know, but, that's just an example of a recent surface mine.
If I can clarify for the chairman about the driveway with the DOT, which has nothing to do with anybody in this room unless somebody works for the DOT that's in here. And this goes for anybody that owns land on any state route in Bulloch County or any other county as far as I know. If you present it to the Georgia Department of Transportation for whatever reason, agricultural, or if you drive a big truck and you got a small driveway and you want to access your property, then shouldn't come through here. I mean, I put them in all the time. That goes to the DOT office. And then if they approve that, then you can put your driveway in at your own expense. Now, after so much traffic and all, the DOT will do the study with the traffic study of where the turn lanes, acceleration lanes, deceleration lanes and all that. That is out of the county's jurisdiction as far as what we permit. Now, county roads, anybody that lives in the county, if you want to widen your driveway or anything, you come here and talk to Brad Deal, and they'll go out there and look at the sewer pipes and tell you what size and what you can do. And then you buy a permit through James's office with the county. So if whoever owns this land wanted to put them in a driveway, if this don't fly and they wanted to use it for something else or try to rezone this land for sale, anything else they want to do, they could still use that driveway. The driveway's just been permitted as a driveway. Now, that's as far as I can go into that as far as the county. But I buy them both for the county, from the counties around us and the DOT in every county around us. And that's how it is, and that's the process you have to go through. Now, did they jump the gun putting their driveway in? They maybe lost some money if this don't pass. But that'll be, I guess they knew that going in. And just to touch on the Greg Sykes, and the commissioners will remember it, I think she mentioned it, it's the Greg Sykes pit that was down close to Schuman Road that we did permit, and it is a mining pit. So that's, I think the one down close to Schuman Road is what's being mentioned here. And Commissioner Connor lives down there, and he says there ain't no digging going on yet. I mean, there will be some digging going on, but just to clarify, if that's the one they're talking about, short of that, I was just offering some information to maybe clarify some things. So, with that being said,
My question is this, it's not the driveway, it's digging the hole.
they hadn't dug any holes yet. They hadn't dug any holes yet.
I'm not talking about Schuman, I'm talking about this one that they say.
They hadn't dug no holes there yet. They put the driveway in.
Okay, all right, okay.
I'm
getting there.
They have, going by the gentleman that come up, have dug some test holes with a test drill.
All right, okay.
And just for clarification is all I was trying to do. I mean.
Yeah, I just misunderstood. I thought there was.
Yeah, no, they hadn't been out there with an excavator or anything. They'll send a testing company out there, or they go dig some test holes to see what kind of dirt they got and how deep they can go. That's where he's coming up with the information of how deep he can go. When he hits 30 feet, he could probably go deeper, but he's gonna run into bad dirt. That's the reason he's stating 30 foot. And the reason to clarify this, because I got mining permits too. I know that, so now, just for clarification.
Okay, I'm through. I understand there's no pit being dug. Okay. Any other questions?
I have more. I live less than a quarter of a mile from where they're gonna be digging. When I built my house 20-some odd years ago, we had to have a wetland surveyor out there, and they hit clay within 4 foot digging. So I had to have one of them great big old mounds that all you see in Effingham County. I thought I'd move out of that county and not have one of them dumb mounds. But anyways, the gentleman said they've already dug and got good samples. So I'd like to know, what do they consider good samples? And also, sir, I got a question for you. When I asked you about the land taxes, I asked you about if it's gonna, any of you know if it's gonna affect the land taxes around our houses? And also, do any of you know how the water table is gonna be affected? Can y'all guarantee that it's not gonna be affected?
No, ma'am, we can't. I'm not a tax representative, or I don't do taxes for a living, and I don't dig wells.
Right.
I really don't. I'm answering your question honestly. I don't. I farm for a living.
Right.
You know, my brother hauls dirt for a living. You know, so no, I can't tell you what it's going to do. No, ma'am.
And if it does affect our wells, is anybody in this county gonna back up redigging our wells, or dropping our pumps lower, or reimbursing us, or bringing in water? What? How are y'all gonna do this?
We're awaiting a meeting with the EPD about those wells that everybody keeps talking about for information, and we don't know yet.
Yeah, but okay, let me ask you this then. You're waiting for the information, but yet something like this can pass and then y'all get the information? I mean, that's like putting the cart before the horse. I mean, if you approve this and then get the information that it's gonna affect our wells, I mean, where are we at? Where are we at? Go ahead, sir. I know you want to say something.
Well, I think when it comes to some of the environmental issues that you spoke of, I think we'd have to rely on the applicant's engineer to address those, whether it's the water table, whether it's the soils. As Commissioner Connor said, we don't have the subject matter expertise in those areas.
Correct, you don't. So therefore, we're just out there on a limb.
Right.
Yeah, so.
Well, no, I don't know if you're on a limb or not unless a subject matter expert like Mr. Sack can offer some answers to your question. So now with regard to the tax values, that would probably be a more precise question for the tax assessor's office to try to give some kind of judgment, but they would never be able to do that until after the fact. And I don't know of any rational or objective studies that have ever been made where you did mention that borrow pits reduce property values. Do you have some evidence of that?
No, I do not, just by
Okay.
what I Googled.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So in responding to that, in my experience here, I'm not aware that we've ever had a complaint from anybody where we have previously approved borrow pits, where they came back and they showed any data-driven evidence or substantive evidence of their property values declining. Ultimately, the source would be the Bulloch County Tax Assessor's Office. So, I don't know of any circumstance where that's occurred, but again, the soils, the environmental issues, we have to rely on the applicant's engineer to perhaps offer some answers to your questions on that.
Also, there is a natural, little, what do you call it, spring or whatever that goes through there. How's that gonna affect isn't it called? Black Creek. Yeah, well, it's Black Creek, but it's McKay or something, there's a creek that goes under that road right there at Saxon's.
Yeah, I think that's where the confluence of Upper and Lower Black Creek come together.
Okay.
And that's the watershed area. Again, I'm not a watershed expert, environmental scientist, so forth, but that's where we have to rely on the applicant's subject matter experts to tell us that there's not going to be any adverse impact with that. And I don't know how many other borrow pits are in the proximate area to where you're at or where this is going to be, but I'm just not seeing any evidence in the reports that I've read that support your concerns. Not that I'm discounting them, but there's just no information available.
It's not just the pit, it's also the wells that's gonna go up there too. We're just worried that it's just gonna bottom out everything.
Understood.
And the wetlands.
Right. But I think the commissioners have to focus on this particular application and this piece of land and the immediate surrounding areas. So that's where I would probably recommend to the commissioners that if they wanted to follow through on the kind of questions that you have, it needs to be taken to task with the applicant's engineer.
Well, can't this be postponed until y'all get all the information that how it's gonna affect
That's at the discretion of the commission.
of the commissioners, you guys?
We're just voting on the driveway.
Voting on a conditional use for Burke Road.
So I think the question was, this particular property owner had someone come out for a drain field investigation. And they encountered bad soils. More often than not, when there's a raised mound drain field, that's also due to the depth of groundwater. The groundwater is really high. That's often what causes those. So we also saw groundwater. It's a high groundwater in that area. This is not a water consumption project. There's no wells being drilled. There's no use for the water. outside of removing it from the pit as you're digging the soils. When you remove the water from that pit, it goes right to the adjacent watershed. So there's no net change in water. The water's removed from the ground and is put back on the ground just outside of the work area. So we don't view this as having an impact. On a 30-foot pit, if you pump that pit all the way down, there could be some minor impact to a high groundwater recharge or cone of depression, but it's nothing like a moderate well or a deep well. It would recharge very quickly. The impacts of it probably wouldn't extend much or at all beyond the property lines. It would be right there at the site. So I don't see that as an issue here. All of the rest of the environmental concerns, there's a playbook established that we have to play by. That's established by the feds, is passed down to the state, and that's passed down to the local level. And we've played by every single rule that's been established. It's in our plans. In fact, the creek was mentioned. This creek, this site is within a mile of a 303D listed stream for dissolved oxygen. It's got low dissolved oxygen. As a result of that, we had to add more erosion controls, more controls in general to our plans to make sure we meet the requirements of the federal government. And that's what we've done. We've checked every box. Once it goes into construction, there will be inspections performed that will continue to ensure that all those boxes are checked. So we've played by the zoning rules locally. We've played by the government rules, both state and federal. We ask that you approve this on behalf of our clients. Happy to answer any other questions.
Have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to turn this into the hands of the commissioners now. And have any questions or comments from the commissioners? You know, I guess there's three choices: table, approve, or disapprove. So, if I hear no questions or comments, then I'm gonna call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, although it really led on way longer than I intended, because I intended to make the motion a long time ago, but I've make a motion now to deny this request on this dirt pit, and we do care, believe it or not.
Okay, I have a motion to deny. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all of those in favor of the motion, show of hands. Unanimous denial. Thank you for coming.
All right, agenda item number 7 tonight.
Let's do something.
Okay.
I think we're gonna have a midnighter tonight anyway. Let's take a 10-minute recess.
It's real fun.
Any of y'all have to go? This meeting is called to order again, and we now will be on item number 7.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item 7 tonight is a conditional use request by Catherine and Lorenzo Holmes, who have submitted the request to place a manufactured home on a parcel that's currently zoned R40. The property is located at 3738 Neville's Daisy Road. Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval, and staff recommends approval of the conditional use request. This property is located on the southwest corner of the Bulloch County, as you see on the star, or located by the star on the map. The property was divided at some time prior into 1 acre, in which they accomplished that by rezoning it into an R40, which is somewhat, well, it's an avenue to divide property down into smaller lots when there's no family provision available. But in the meantime, since this was rezoned, R40 zoning the zoning ordinance changed a few years ago to where you have to have a conditional use for manufactured home. You see the property that's outlined here. I believe there was a structure there previously, and that's also a storage building there, as you see. But this is access on Neville's Daisy Road. And again, it's a legal lot, and so just with the zoning, the conditional use was required. But again, staff recommends approval of the use. Mr. and Ms. Holmes, if y'all are available to speak. If not, I don't know, commissioners, if y'all have any questions for the applicant.
You had Matt. Matt speaking for us.
And I'm Matt Brown. I'm pretty much just here. If y'all had any questions, I was just here to help y'all answer. I've been to a few of these, so me that night, they're stranger.
Any questions? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion.
Move to approve, Mr. Chairman. Second.
Motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Unanimous approval. Thank you for coming.
Agenda item 8 tonight is a rezone request by Simco Investment Group LLC, who's submitted an application to rezone 99.3 acres from Ag 5 to R25 for the purpose of developing a single-family residential subdivision. Property is located at 6181 Mud Road, which Clay Price will be acting as agent. Planning and Zoning Commission recommends a denial, and staff recommends a denial of the rezone request. However, if approval were granted, we do have a few conditions that we suggest. This is the future development map. It's currently adopted. This property is just on the north side of Mud Road, just to the west of Arcola Road at that intersection. The north side of Mud Road currently sits in a rural open space character. And opposite of that, on the south side of Mud Road, we have identified as suburban neighborhood character in our future development plan. This property and this parcel that's shown actually goes across Mud Road, but the portion that is seeking to be rezoned is, as shown on this, that field that basically from Mud Road north into that larger field area. It's not the entire parcel. And this is an aerial. Currently, the property is used in agriculture. And this is the property, the proposed development plan by the applicant. So with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Clay Price as agent.
I'm going to defer to Mr. Metzger.
Good afternoon. I'm Alec Metzger with EMC Engineering. We're helping Mr. Price with the planning for the development. We're proposing 99 acres to be rezoned to R25. We've done some preliminary wetland work and a level 3 soil survey, and it indicates we can get about 79 lots. Those would be half-acre lots on individual septic systems and a community well. The gross density is about 0.8 units per acre. The net density is around 1 unit per acre. Around 32% of the property will be green space in the form of wetlands, ponds, buffers, and a 25-foot undisturbed buffer or vegetative buffer around the entire property. The comprehensive plan does show the future use immediately across Mud Road as suburban neighborhood. That, from what I see, allows a density up to 2 units per acre. So what we're showing is a density of around 1 unit per acre. So we're less than what could be possible right across the road. And the 1 unit per acre puts us very close into the rural neighborhood category. So while zoning wise, it may not match up with other zonings around it, there are quite a few of residential or rural neighborhood type lots, 1 acre, 2 acre, 3 acre, and 5 acre tracts around this site. So we feel like it is maybe a transition area right along this future development corridor for suburban neighborhood, and we will be, less dense than what could be possible under that. As far as traffic goes, we did a traffic impact study. It indicated that the traffic will increase, but the level of service of Mud Road and the intersections of Arcola Road won't be impacted significantly. It'll maintain the level of service and the level of wait time now and into the future. A right turn lane is proposed into the development as part of the traffic impact study. That's all I have. I'll be glad to answer any questions and save some time for rebuttal.
John Paul Moore. Brian William Fund.
Good evening, Commissioners, Chairman. Thanks for the opportunity to speak. I'm going to start out with what I pulled off your agenda packet. And I'd like to start with the comment that this is north of Mud Road, and just south of Mud Road is in the zoning plan. We have boundaries. We got county boundaries. We got city boundaries. We got a border on our southern border. That's about open as can be right now. There's boundaries. We voted on that. You guys voted on that, came up with that plan, signed that in September of last year. And now we're going to push it again and push it again. I want to make some comments, and this is all facts that I'm going to talk here. Not what I want, just facts. Mud Road, it's a county road. Traffic's not going to be impacted. It says right here in the study, 40% increase. That's 40%. That doesn't sound like something small. Let's talk about the money. Back to that fiscal analysis. In 7 years, it's going to cost the taxpayers of this county $500,000. $500,000 for 74 houses. School impact. Our feeder schools are full now. They're talking about a minimum of 51 new students. Were they going up to Stilson? These are the things, gentlemen, that I would like you to consider. These gentlemen over here, before Christmas, already said that doesn't sound like a good idea. And you guys put them in place. So I'd like you to kind of listen to what they have to say. I got something here. This is out of the Commissioner's Handbook. And what's it talk about? Something called sprawl. I never hear anybody talk about sprawl. It says most elected officials in local government staff recognize and understand what sprawl means, and I would hope you all do. Most people would agree that sprawl is at the very least unattractive and at worst harmful to the natural environment. Zoning codes and sprawl are interconnected. I'll go back to the analysis page again. This page right here, there's not one X in anything positive. So how can you think that by rezoning this, we're going to get anything positive for the citizens of this county? 5 negatives and 6 neutral. And that makes it what? A neutral, negative, slightly. No positives, not one positive. Right? I understand there's growth. We have a plan. I'd like to see us follow that plan. Right? I moved out here from Effingham County. Bought 10 acres right off a quarter mile from that. I never expected that in not even 2 years, what I left down there, I got to stand up here and argue about. So what I would ask is stick with the plan. How many more houses do we actually need right at this moment? I just saw a giant subdivision get approved, right up there probably where it should be, and that's right on the border. They clipped that one right at the border. One more street over, and it had been outside. All right? That plan was put together. I'd like to see everybody stick with the plan. I don't know how many people here are from the Aikens community. Do we want this down there? No, we don't want this down there. I'm hoping that this is the first meeting of this year, and I've seen some good things already tonight, and I'm hoping that you'll take a look at this, go off the recommendations of our planning, go off the recommendations of the plan. The plan, it's a plan. All right, we're not calling audibles here. We got a plan. All right, that's all I have. I'd like to reserve some time speak at the end if possible.
Bruce Schuman. Carla Anderson.
Good evening. I won't take much of your time because the gentleman ahead of me covered a lot of the points that I was going to make as well. There are a lot of concerns for that subdivision coming to our community. The increase in traffic, not only transportation-wise, but for the safety of the children in that community itself. We're taking up farmland that's not necessarily needed to take up. Again, we have subdivisions approved tonight. We don't need all these subdivisions. We need our farmland. We need our food. We need our growth. We need our environment to stay the way it is. When our farmland's gone, it's gone. You don't get it back. And I think a lot of this, just my personal opinion, these subdivisions are for this plant that's coming. And we're putting our hopes on something that might not be here in 5 years. So, again, those are some of my concerns, again, with the water, the wells, the sewage, the maintenance of this home. One of the family members mentioned last time we spoke about this, that home was used by Sherman when he marched through. Why aren't we fighting to preserve that as a historical site in our county instead of trying to tear it down and build modern homes? And last year about this time, we also were looking at a subdivision, not even within a mile from this property, and you agreed that we were not ready to maintain 45 homes. We were not equipped to handle 45 homes, and we're not ready or equipped to handle the 80 homes that they want to put here. And as Ms. Perkins mentioned earlier, don't let us become the county that was. Let's maintain what we have. Thank you.
Jonathan Collins.
So I'm not going to take up much of your time. The gentleman before me said a lot of what I want to say, and said the lady. I moved up here from Effingham County 5 years ago because Effingham County is getting too big too fast and they're not ready for it. And I don't think Bulloch County is ready for it either. Just infrastructure wise, there's not the roads there to handle. You're talking about 80 houses. Most families have 2 houses or 2 cars per house. So you're talking about 160 extra cars just in that area alone. And then I work as a paramedic in Effingham. We don't have the facilities here in Bulloch County for any emergencies on this side of the county. And y'all drew a line in the sand, and we should stick to it, right? South of Mud Road. Thank you.
Jackie Slater.
I'm Jackie Slater. I've been living there close to 30 years. I live straight across the street from it on Akins Lane. I don't know where they get their assessments on water flow or whatever, but I've got pictures. 3 inches of rain coming out, saturated in that field. It comes across the field, is shaped in a dome shape. The water can't go anywhere. There's no ditching. The ditching goes across this man's property back here. I could show you where it was a natural drain that runs through his property that he bought and was misled that I see. If that drain ever closes up, I can show you the water where it goes under my property and drains down through there through a big ditch. And it was 1.5 acres in my yard, 4 foot deep. It comes across that field when it gets saturated. This rain we've been having, it does it. And I came here. I came here because of the country. I come here from Bulloch County. I wanted to be in a country, you know. I lived in Bloomingdale. I lived in Effingham. Effingham went crazy. I've seen what it does. And I've seen the impact of what subdivisions do to a place that's around here with people that coming in from everywhere. Again, I told the committee I put in alarm systems for ADT for 44 years. And I put more alarms in subdivisions due to the impact of drugs, stealing, everything you can think of. People couldn't live. I'm living normal out here right now. We look after each other. And I don't want to see that impact come to us in that community. It's too much. It can't handle it. I thank you again. Appreciate it.
Kevin Black.
Good evening. I just want you to speak with you a little bit on behalf of where I'm located and about 6 or 7 people on my road on Akins Lane. Where they gonna put this subdivision and the way they got houses lined around in it, I'm 300 feet from the back of about 10 houses. And in back of everybody's houses, they put the junk. I'll see every bit of that every day. And for one thing, the price of my house is gonna drop because my house will be right by a subdivision. You know, it's gonna be a big change for us. Not counting all the noise you're gonna get from the area. So I like y'all consider that, you know. When you vote no, so we can, you know, get rid of this kind of thing. Thank you.
Toby Hutchins.
Good afternoon. I won't take up much time. I've only got about 1 minute and 8 seconds left. Most everybody has already covered everything else. The big thing was the schools. I moved here from Richmond Hill. I didn't like Richmond Hill because of the subdivisions that was there, so I moved up here for Ag 5. And if this was going to stay Ag 5, I wouldn't even be here because that's what it's zoned as. But now we're trying to put all these extra houses up here, and we don't have the infrastructure around it. My son went to Stilson, and they used to always say, please don't complain about anything at Stilson because we don't have the money to fix it, and we won't get the money. So we never complain about anything, but that is a perfect school, but it's not big enough to handle anything else. My son now goes to Southeast Bulloch, and they don't have capacity for these extra houses and homes and kids. With that being said, you know, we talk about the garbage and the traffic and everything else. We don't have it there, and there's a reason why. We don't have another dump. They've already shut the dump down. We got one off Arcola and one down off of Stilson. So you're gonna be adding all these extra houses with trash and garbage and everything else. So it's gonna be an increased taxing on everybody else around there. I don't want it. Your people have already denied it and have put through the future to deny it. That's all I've got.
Thank you. Four. Okay. We had 4 that had signed up. Due to the fact we've run out of time, that will not be able to speak, but I think we've heard your request. Sir, you have 7 minutes and 9 seconds to make any comments that you would like to make.
Yes, sir. We would like you to consider tabling this tonight, so we can look at it a little bit more and see if we can adjust the plans any after hearing some of the residents tonight. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any comments? Questions? Hearing none, then I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'm making a motion to deny the rezoning request.
Second.
I make a motion to deny the rezoning request.
We have a motion to deny.
Second.
We have a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor of the motion, show of hands.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to say something real quick, if you don't mind. I know we're gonna be here late as it is, but you know, I don't need nobody's applaud to do a job that you put me up here to do. I've got a family I want to get home to, and we got business we got to handle. So if y'all just hold it down just a minute, this family wants to sell their land. It's hard enough for me to have to sit up here and make a decision for somebody who wants to sell their land. Yeah, I wouldn't want nobody to do it for me. And these applauds are unnecessary. We're trying to run a business for this county and do the good we can do for you. Thank you.
Amen.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Next.
All right, Mr. Chairman, agenda item number 9 tonight is a rezone request. Burke GSL LLC has submitted an application to rezone 70.37 acres from an R80 to a planned unit development 1, which is a mixed residential development. This would include single-family detached units, 2-family units, otherwise duplex, and single-family attached units, otherwise townhomes. The property is located on Burke Road, and Mr. Steve Rushing will be acting as agent. Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval with conditions by a 3-0 vote. The staff recommends approval of the rezone request with conditions. This property, again, as I stated, was on Burke Road, which is almost at the Highway 80 intersection. This is the current zoning map of the property. The R80 is the yellowish color there. You have some nearby highway commercial zoning along Highway 80, some commercial development at that intersection. You do have a single-family neighborhood just to the, I guess that'd be northeast of the property, and then some large lot parcels. The property is located in the what was located on the future development map as suburban neighborhood. in which this development does meet the intent of that character. This is the property aerial. There is currently a pond on the north part of the property, which would be incorporated into the design. This is the design. I won't get into the specifics of the design other than the duplex side would be on the left side of the property. The townhomes would be at the very rear of the property. There are some amenities that are proposed in the plan unit development, which we do have a ratio that's required under plan unit development standards. This does, as proposed, exceed those standards. And on the right side, you have single-family lots that are, and the applicant may correct me on this, but roughly 8,000 square foot lot homes. Now, to get this density, the applicant is proposing to have water and sewer extended from the city of Statesboro, but the property would remain in the county. No annexation is proposed. That's why we're here tonight. But this is a phasing plan that's proposed by the applicant, and the development plan that was submitted as part of the application, I think anticipates a fairly quick turnaround on the development. Just the phasing schedule would, just be how the permitting process goes and what phases they would build out to begin with. And we do have some conditions that are tied to certain phases of the development, particularly with the creation of the park and playground and tying it in with the phases that are developed. This is a property that is, as it currently is, again, used in agricultural use. Burke Road, this is looking, which I guess would be southwest, into Highway 80, which is a state-maintained paved highway. And we would anticipate, also based off the traffic study that was performed, that most of the traffic would be going back and forth to the state route. And then I'll mention one other thing. On the site plan, on that, the entrance to the left, there is an extra, has a median entryway, so that alleviates concern of public safety with having access into and out of that development, and it meets the requirement of our ordinance, being that at that number of lots or units, you'd have to have a certain number of entryways. So with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Steve Rushing or Joey Maxwell, who also is with the design group.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. I know it's been a long night, so I'll try not to take too much of your time. I do represent tonight. First of all, I'm Steve Rushing, an attorney here in town, and I'm representing Burke GSL LLC. Its principals are here with us tonight. They're sitting on the back row in the middle. They've been watching all this, but that's Alex Long and Jameson Lightsey. And right with me on the front row, of course, is one of the designers of the subdivision, along with Alex and Jameson, and that's Joey Maxwell. They are the current owners of the property. This is not under contract with anyone, but they actually acquired it, and they are the ones who are proposing to development. I think you've seen a pretty good description of the project. That would be, if all our studies and tests would allow, we would hope to have that many units on it. It is located or fronts on Burke Road, just north, though, of its intersection with the state-maintained Highway 80. Adjacent to this property to the north, which looking on the screen would be to your right, is already an existing subdivision, the Old Indian Trail subdivision. On the south, which would be to the left on your screen, is a current commercial zone. I would direct your attention to that sketch plan now. And note that this project will be developed in phases. The first phases will start on the front, abutting Burke Road, with phase 1 consisting of single-family dwellings. On the right-hand side, that would abut the existing Old Indian Trail and extend to the center of the property. And then on the left-hand side, fronting on Burke, we will have those duplexes that you see. Then in phase 3 would be more single-family dwellings, once again on the right, kind of in the pink shaded area. And then phase 4 on the left will be more duplexes. And as we move to the rear, the last phase would be phase 8, and that's where we have proposed some townhomes. And of course, with this size tract, we do plan a variety of amenities, including a clubhouse with pool, walking trails, a pond, and as you see, plenty of green space. And as you may know already, this kind of density is only possible with water and sewer. And that would come from the city of Statesboro. Developers already reached out and are making those plans, talking to other property owners that may want to even attach on to that water and sewer. After reviewing the county staff departmental review, I think it does a great job addressing the standards that you have to go by in deciding on our application. We fully accept their analysis and is in agreement with that, including their 4 suggested conditions. I might add that those standards, according to the staff, virtually all are met to support this subdivision. But I will address a couple of those standards. There's been a lot of talk about the comprehensive plan tonight, and that plan does assign this area to the suburban neighborhood land use character, which, as stated in the staff report, does include a PUD as an approved zoning classification. So we are within those boundaries. Our proposed development attempts to take full advantage of the PUD classification with all the character homes I've mentioned, single-family duplexes and the townhomes. Yes, this subdivision will add traffic to Burke Road, but the left turn lane included in the suggested conditions will aid in managing the increased traffic, which again most would be back out to state maintained Highway 80. And in fact, that was the only improvement that was suggested by the traffic engineers in their study that was conducted for this site plan and submitted to the county staff. We respectfully request that this Board of Condition Committee favorable recommendation from our Planning Commission, and that's also supported by your comprehensive plan, and grant approval of our application for a PUD zone with the staff's 4 suggested conditions, and we'll reserve the rest of our time. Thank you.
Mr. Alex Long.
I'll defer for now, thank you.
Okay, and Mr. James Lightsey. Stacy Stanbro.
Hello, how are you? I'm not as eloquent as some folks are, but I'm going to do my best. In your own fiscal economic impact for this project, it's going to cost the taxpayers another $2 million in 7 years. Again, as someone else pointed out, where's the county coming up with that at? I sent an email to all of the commissioners, including the chairman. I don't know if you guys actually saw it or had time to read it, where my email addressed the complaints from my neighbors as well as myself, which was the noise, the traffic congestion, the noise during construction as well as after, the impact on the schools, the crime concerns. We have no crime in Old Indian Trail right now, none. You bring this many people, that will change. There's also going to be an impact on the emergency services. That is stated as one of the negative impacts here on the emergency services. And if you look at that map where Old Indian Trail is, those 11 homes, I live in one of those that butts up to this property. So there's 11 of us, our backyards will be gone from us because of this monstrosity that they want to build. And something else I just figured out. You just denied someone building 79 homes on 99 acres. They want to put 355 units on 70 acres. Do the math. What are you talking about here? This cannot go like it is. I'm open to something being put there, but think about it. 355 units on 70 acres, and you just denied 79 on 90 acres. Think about how many people that puts there. Not like that. Well, what kind of, and I want to know what kind of boundary are they going to put between our houses and this monstrosity? That's what it is. This is, and the negatives on your report. How come if you have 4 positives and 4 negatives, the outcome is a neutral positive? Why isn't it a neutral negative? On your own report, your own review. Please don't do this to the people of Old Indian Trail. And it's not just me. What about the folks that live across the street on Burke Culture, across from this monstrosity? Coming off of 80, they won't have trouble getting into their home. How are they going to get back out with this much more traffic? Your own review says over 2,000 trips a day. How are they? There are no benefits to any of us that live in Old Indian Trail from this thing, especially the 11 of us on Ogeechee Drive West that butt up to this. We lose our privacy, we lose our backyards, we lose our peace. Oh, one more thing I forgot about. The farmland. It is full of fertilizers and pesticides. Now, if I'm wrong, please correct me. I was told that the developer does not have to go to Georgia Water and Soil and the EPD with a mitigation plan unless it's approved. Well, that doesn't do me any good afterwards. What's going to happen to all those fertilizers and pesticides in the soil when they start excavating for these homes? Where's it going to blow? Who's going to protect me from all those poisons and my neighbors and the kids that are outside playing? So I'm open to some kind of compromise. I'm open to more workshops and more meetings. But I'm asking you, please do not approve this as it is, especially once you do the numbers for what you just denied versus the numbers what they want to put on this. Thank you for your time.
Lawton Sack.
Good evening, gentlemen. I was born and raised in Statesboro, graduate of Statesboro High, and grew up about a quarter of a mile from this property. And I can tell you, first of all, with the schools, this is going to add 195 students into the Statesboro High and this feeder system. I don't know if any of you, well, most of you have probably not gone to the Board of Education meeting. We are not ready for this growth when it comes to the Board of Education. And I know y'all have said before that y'all are not part of the Board of Education, but the decisions that you make are going to impact them. We don't have the room. The report that was given by the staff in planning and zoning says that we are already at capacity into this, and we're talking about adding at least 195 students to this. I'm proud of my community. I'm proud of what we have done here. As I've stated before, in the past, we worked together with the Board of Education, the City of Statesboro, the Board of Commissioners. Somehow that has broken over the years because of pride, because of personalities from county city managers and such. But we used to get to the point where we could sit down and talk about this. Our schools aren't ready. And that is just a plain out fact. Southeast Bulloch is 4 years away, and when it's built, it's not going to be have the capacity for the students that are going to go to schools there. What about Statesboro High? What about Langston Chapel? If you drive down there, Langston Chapel is landlocked. They don't have anywhere to go. We've got a problem with students. We had a moratorium because of ordinances. We need a moratorium until we can sit down with the Board of Education and discuss where we're going to put these students. That is a real issue. We also have a financial issue. As I said, I grew up here. I used to play in this area. Used to go out with Jay Hodges, and we used to play in this area. And I can tell you, Burke Culture has had very few improvements since I was a little kid. And if you drive down that road, which I did last week, the road's in horrible shape. And you also drive down and you see the yellow signs. I don't know what the city's getting ready to do, and they're planning the zoning right down the road from this as well, but there's yellow signs everywhere. And I can tell you from Grice Connect article, Statesboro Herald, there's at least 3,000 housing units coming out of the ground right now in the city of Statesboro. You talk to the planner over there, he's got 27 subdivisions on his desk right now. All of these are Statesboro High students and feeding to the feeder system. Where are they going to go to school? 3,000 homes right now. At least another probably 4,000 to 5,000 on top of that. That's a lot of students. This isn't isolated. I know we like to talk about one issue, but we've got a lot bigger issue going on. And this just pinpoints that this one place is going to dump in almost 200 students. And you do the math. The city of Statesboro is going to be dumping in over 1,000 students into a school that won't hold 50, 100 more students right now. Thank you.
Cassandra Michael.
Hello, this planned unit development seems to be the first of its kind in the county. The owner of this development, Mr. Long, is out of Rincon. So a planned unit development is probably maybe a good idea for Rincon or Savannah, but it's not a good idea for the county of Bulloch County. Dense housing like this doesn't belong in Bulloch County. The mixed-use development, as she said, is a crap load of houses, a crap load of duplexes, a crap load of townhomes left in this development area. The lot sizes of 8,000 square feet, there's a house like behind there that's literally 8,000 square feet in Laurel Hills. A whole house could fit on the size of this lot with no extra room. Right next door, as she said, in Old Indian Trail, the neighborhood is zoned R25. If y'all insist on rezoning, I think it should be zoned R25, just like the neighborhood next door. They could fit about 90 homes, it appears, on R25, and that would be a much happier marriage of making the landowner happy and making all the citizens of the community happy to zone it R25. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, we have some rebuttal time. If anybody wants to make any statements.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a few. Obviously, it's been mentioned a few times tonight that, we have a plan that we should be going by it, and that's exactly what this group is doing. The comprehensive plan that we've been talking about has already designated this area suburban neighborhood character. And that same comprehensive plan states that PUD is an approved or recommended zoning classification within this area. That's what we're trying to do. We are looking to, connect to the city water and sewer to make all this available to keep, there being so many septic tanks or drain fields. So that's something though that you've got to split among these various homes. Now, this cost study that had been mentioned a couple of times tonight, I think that applies for pretty much any single-family residence, that the cost of services are more than the taxes, and that would be true for every home that everybody's living in here now. If we drew the line there, no one's home would be permitted. But we know that this commission looks at the whole picture. They look at the whole county. We've got retail, we've got industry, we've got other things all contributing to the tax base. And if you look at the Publix, you look at these commercial properties already further up Highway 80, they look at the population size. And so that's how you get these additional contributors to the tax base, is they measure it by, if you didn't have the appropriate population, you wouldn't have a Publix or those kind of things. So you look at the whole thing, you just don't, finger out the single-family dwelling, because they may not pay for themselves by themselves, but they contribute to the whole picture that brings in retail and other things. As for Old Indian Trail, they indicated their backyard abuts this property, well, there would just be abutting other backyards from within this development. But in addition to that, this plan does call for the buffers that are required by the county ordinance, so there would be those kind of buffers also. And finally, with respect to the school issues, yes, we have that. But that's another reason that this property is phased in. You're not just going to open up next year and have 195 students added. This is something that's going to be phased in over time, and the absorption rate should handle any of the additional students over that period of time. Now, there was also mentioned something on the potential noise. I think, did you have something on that you wanted to mention? Okay, there was, with this type property, again, far as the noise, it's going to be focused within the development itself. That's why we've got the amenities with the clubhouses and the pools and the walking area within the development. It's going to kind of be a confined space. So if you follow your plan that you've already put into place, you follow the staff that have already recommended this approval, and the Planning Commission unanimously recommends it, then I think that supports our application, as well as the standards that you have to go by also support it. So we would ask that you do approve our application for rezone with the conditions that the staff has suggested. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. I'll keep this very brief. My name is Alex Long. I do own the property here that we're discussing this evening. I do feel like we've done our best as far as sticking within the county's plan of what they want to see here with a planned unit development. We, as Mr. Steve mentioned, we've tried to keep the residential on the right-hand side of the property that does abut Indian Trail, and put the more density towards the left side of the property that is closer to the intersection of Highway 80 that abuts to the commercial corridor that's running down Highway 80. To the lady that said, that I'm not local, I do live in Rankin currently, but I lived here in Statesboro for 10 years. My daughters go to college here. I am a part of, my grandparents live here on Burke Road. I have family that live on Mud Road. I am, I'm in this community. I spend money in this community. I pay taxes in this community for the properties that I hold where my daughters live. So, I do care about what goes here, and I think that, with what we're planning to do here and what y'all will see here, I think we'll exceed any development that this county has had. I know that I can't speak for other developers, but I know that our standards are very stringent, and we've met and exceeded every staff recommendation as far as green space, as far as amenities, as far as things that you would want to have in a community. And I think when it's all said and done, I think we will be the new standard that that this county will hold other developers to. So I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Time.
You got 1 minute, 27 seconds for the other stuff.
1 minute, 27 seconds.
I just wanted to say, the other thing about this planned unit development is I don't like the precedent that it sets for Bulloch County. We don't need a ton of these monstrosities, as the other lady said. Thank you.
One minute, 19 seconds.
I want to reiterate for you to please think about your own math. If you just said no to 79 homes on 99 acres, why would you put 355 homes on 70 acres? Think about your math.
I have 10 seconds. Can I speak to that real quick?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I was going to offer them back to you anyway.
Well, to
They
speak
got
to that,
another minute,
I
8 seconds.
understand y'all were denied, 74 homes on 99 acres. They did not have water. They did not have sewer. So their lots had to be larger to accommodate that. They were also in a rural area. We are close to Highway 80, and we're planning on extending that water and sewer at our expense. We're investing into extending the utilities to bring to this property that other people in the county will be, will be able to tie into that. So we're doing that at our own expense, and I think that speaks to why we're,
Thank you.
putting that.
10 seconds is up. And I hate to be doing this, but I'm not going to be accused of giving one side more time than the other. So y'all got anything else to say? You surrender?
I
Okay. Your time left, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. I did hear R25 was on the table.
I believe R20, it's right next door is R25. So to me, if you're gonna do R25 there, why not have this be R25 and make it?
And I'm not even suggesting that, I just wanted to make certain that that's what I had heard. Okay? Now, public sector is closed. This is only for commissioners. Open up to the commissioners. You have any questions? Any type of discussion?
I've got a question. With these, the single family, will that be, well, with this, the whole development, will it be maintained by the developer, or it's going to be sold? Any house is going to be sold and rental property, how's that going to be?
We do intend to maintain the entire subdivision with an HOA, so we will hold the HOA so that, we can maintain the aesthetics and property. The single-family homes will be sold. We have not decided on the townhomes. We prefer, I think, to hold those at this time. So, but the whole community will be held in an HOA to be maintained.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any additional questions? Then hearing none, I'm going to call for the motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to accept this rezoning with the conditions.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, show of hands. All right. This is a 4-2 vote.
You asking?
Yes. All right, okay. We have two.
To oppose?
Opposed.
4.
Let's start over.
I'm sorry, I was listening to that time clock. I asked for the motion and repeat the motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to accept this rezoning with the conditions.
Second.
To accept it,
Mr. Simmons seconds.
and we had a second. Yeah, correct me if, all right. All those in favor of the motion, that's accepting the rezone, I need to see a show of hands.
4 times.
4 times. All those opposed. Motion carries 4-2. Approval. Thank you. Next.
All right, agenda item number 10 is a rezone request by KB Rentals LLC, who has submitted an application to rezone 75.77 acres from Ag 5 to an R25 zoning to develop a single-family residential subdivision. Property is located at Brooklet Denmark Road and Mincy Road. Steve Rushing will be acting as agent. Planning and Zoning Commission recommends a denial, and staff recommends a denial of the request. However, if approval is granted, we do have a few conditions for consideration. This is the future development map with the location approximate with the star is again on Brooklet Denmark Road at Mincy Road. This is the current zoning of the property. Currently, I believe timber is currently the use. And then across from Brooklet Denmark Road, there is a subdivision which predates zoning, which is Brooklet South. Brooklet South zoning, or the way it developed, is in between an R25 and an R40 zone, just based on the density. This is the aerial of the property. And then this is the proposed development plan by the applicant. You'll see there's 2 entryways into the subdivision, and we do have a condition that speaks to emergency access further into the subdivision along Mincy Road. However, we do recommend just paving up to the entryway on Mincy Road, not the entire length of Mincy Road, but some dedication of right-of-way for any future improvements along Mincy Road, which is a county-maintained dirt road. The entryways do, as proposed, align with the Brooklet South entryway, which is preferred by staff. This is the property as it is on Brooklet Denmark Road. Again, the current use, and then the approximate location as proposed by the applicant for the main entryway. And with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Steve Rushing, who is agent. Nope, going the wrong way. All right.
Mr. Chairman, before we open up the public hearing, I have a request. I do represent KB Rentals LLC, which is Kelly Brown. He is the owner of the property and the developer. We went to the Planning Commission meeting, and there was just one lady signed up to speak and to oppose it, and however, 2 other people were allowed to speak, though not signed up, that were in the subdivision across the street. The Planning Commission suggested that we reach out to those folks and attempt to work something out. We reached out to Ms. Angel Acock. She actually sent a rather extensive email of what requests that they would like to see, concessions on our part, and sent it to Commissioner Rushing, who received it. So Mr. Brown did go out and meet with her and are entertaining those, and in fact is changing the plan because of some of these conversations that we've had, and also because of, what the staff report has suggested. So we are asking that this board table this one tonight. Let us complete those meetings. We didn't have time to draw up the new plan based on the meeting that we had with the neighbors. So we're just asking to give us 1 more month to complete that, and I think we'll come back with something that may be more amenable. So we would ask for a motion to table.
Okay. Go ahead. Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to ask Mr. Akins, are we still required to have the public hearing even though there's a applicant initiated?
Well, I think the way we've handled this before, I mean, there'll be another hearing. So there'll be a hearing in February. And what date is that, James? Do you know? I've got, it'll be the first Tuesday in February at 5:30, February the 6th. So there will be another hearing at that time where people will have an opportunity to speak after Mr. Rushing makes his presentation. But I think we've always given, when there is a deferral and there's been a public hearing advertised, we do allow people to speak if they want to.
Well, that was my concern, and I didn't know, did we had some people who signed up? And in the interest of...
Yeah, I mean, I think if you have people that are signed up, you can just ask them, do they want to say anything tonight, or would they prefer to wait? Assuming the board does defer it, would they prefer to wait and save their comments for next month?
Thank you. That satisfies my question, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. I think we'll do this as a group, that we have been asked to defer this particular item to our next monthly meeting. And is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak that had signed up? Only those that have signed up on this item tonight, or hear it tonight.
Mr. Chairman, I really see no need for us to speak tonight. We'd be better off to wait and see what happens with these changes.
Yes, sir.
And then be here in February and if we need to then.
You are who I was looking for.
There's no point in us making our argument tonight.
No, sir.
could be forgotten by next February. 30 days, so let's do it then.
Okay. Is that agreeable with everybody else that has signed up? All right, I see everybody shaking their heads, so I'm sure that's fine with us. I'm gonna need a motion to.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second discussion. All those in favor of the motion, show of hands. Unanimous approval, it will be deferred to our next night meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
What are we looking for?
Ready?
Next
Agenda item 11 is a conditional use request. Terry Grant has submitted an application to rezone approximately 3.57 acres from Ag 5 to Highway Commercial in the purpose of building a daycare facility. The property is located at 8146 Highway 67, and Mr. Sam DiPolito will be acting as the agent. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval, and staff recommends approval. This property is located in the Denmark community, just south of the intersection Brooklyn-Denmark Road at Highway 67. You'll see the property as displayed with the zoning map. The Ag 5 zoning really covers about half of the property. And so for the entire development or the entire daycare facility to be located on that property, staff felt like we would need to rezone the entire parcel. And that split zoning goes back to the original zoning map when it was created in 1994 and how it transferred over to digital media. But this is the aerial of the property. It's currently zoned or currently used in agricultural use. Access as shown by the applicant who, with a sketch plan, the entryway into the daycare facility would be from Highway 67, which would require a DOT permit for that access, and no access is proposed on the county road to the rear of the daycare facility. And as you may travel quite often on Highway 67, the property again is just to the south of the intersection there along Highway 67. So with that, I will turn over to Mr. Sam DiPolito, who is agent.
Good evening. Appreciate the chance to come in front of you folks. I happen to be unlucky to be the last one tonight. And I don't envy you your jobs. I don't know what they're paying you, but it ain't enough. And you do a good job as best you can. This is going to be a daycare center. It's a 4,000 square foot building. It's we'll have 80 students, 80 kids. Hours of operation will be from 6 in the morning to 6 at night. And pretty much that's it. They're doing some studies, engineering studies now to present to the county. Be working with the DOT for decel XL lanes or whatever the DOT requires. Half of the property is zoned commercial, half of it is zoned Ag 5. And planning, zoning people thought we had to combine it and make it all highway commercial. They will be using the whole parcel, not just half of it, but there's 2 zonings in place now. Given that, I'd like to entertain questions. It's pretty simple. 4,000 square foot building.
Have any questions? Ms. Grant. Is Ms. Grant going to speak?
No, sir, I just signed up in case y'all had any questions concerning the paper.
Thank you. All right, we're going to turn this over to the commissioners. Y'all have any questions or comments? Hearing none, I'm going to ask for a motion.
Move to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
I have a motion to approve and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, show of hands. Unanimous approval. Thank you all very much. We're now going to approve our general agenda. And before I entertain a motion to approve the general agenda, do we have any other discussion or modifications desired by the county manager or the board?
The county manager has none tonight, Mr. Chairman.
Then, hearing no comments, I will ask for approval of the general agenda.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Next is the consent agenda. I will read these two items. I think I was thinking though I left something out, but I don't think I did. Nobody knows it anyway. All right, the consent agenda. Approve a 2024 alcohol beverage renewal license for packaged retail beer and wine sales to certain establishments with a current 2023 license. And second is to approve the purchase and installation of a new automated weather observation station from DBT Transportation Services LLC in the amount of $174,933. And we can actually group these two together and vote on them collectively, or if you would like any one of them discussed, we'll put it under new business.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend we vote on them all at once. I make a motion to do that.
All right,
Second.
we have a motion, we have a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, show of hands. Unanimous approval, thank you very much. Next, we're moving into public comments, and at this time, we have anyone signed up? All right, we have one person signed up to speak, and you will have 5 minutes. If you step forward, state your name, 5 minutes to say what's on your mind.
Good evening. My name's Alicia Neville, and I live at 82 Shat Road, Register, Georgia. I only just wanted to say, well, first of all, I wanted to say, none of us thought we were going to be here this late tonight. I left my daughter at home too, and she's probably going crazy because she actually lost her phone, so she can't even get a text from me. So I'm not going to stand up here a long time. I just read something the other day, and it made me think of y'all and us. It was just because I disagree with you does not mean that I hate you. We need to relearn that in our society. We all see things differently. We all have different opinions. I do not like it if somebody, talks bad, like says bad things about, anybody. So I just think we need to remember that we just have difference of opinions sometimes. And I appreciate when y'all all listen like you did tonight, and you had a lot of people to listen to, and you, I'm trying to say what else, I don't know. I'm also very tired and already had a problem with the blood sugar. So anyway, I just wanted to say that, we just need to all continue to work together and try to work together, not be mad at each other. Don't be mad at the people who come up here and speak, and because they're just sharing their opinion, just like y'all, have your opinions, and each one of you have different opinions too. Y'all are not all the same. Just because you're on the Board of Commissioners doesn't mean you're all the same. We're all different, and we all have opinions, so let's just continue to try to work together and be nice.
Well, we certainly thank you for those positive comments.
Thank you, and thank you for the welcome. That's it.
All right, that's it. We'll now close public comments, and we're going to move into the commission and staff comments. Does staff have any comments?
County manager has none. I'll defer to the assistant or others.
Okay. Hearing none, any commissioners have any comments?
Just one, Mr. Chairman. for Mr. Lindsey Martin, I reckon the very first one on a long list of things tonight, and those people in that community, we need to set a precedence as a county to fix that Sweetheart Lane, excuse me. It's our problem, and he's being held up, and they having living conditions we shouldn't be having to put up with. So I want to make that a priority for everybody here.
Okay. Appreciate those comments. Anyone else? Then I'm compelled to read this next. I must now call for a motion to adjourn into executive session in accordance with the provisions of OCGA 5014-10-11 and other applicable laws pursuant to the advice of County Attorney Jeff Akins for the purpose of discussing personnel.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second. I have a motion, second discussion. All those in favor of moving into executive session, show of hands, unanimous approval. We are now in executive session. Thank you all for coming.
Were you wondering who was on that, list here? Is that what you
No,
wanted?
no.
Oh, okay.
I was thinking that I didn't end the approval of it.
Yeah.